Angeball star, no clue far from the land. Tottenham stranded, in shadows, no man's land. Lost on the pitch, echoes in the night. Fans screaming loud, no end in sight. Shift the blame like drifting sand. Promises empty, no steady hand. Wandering clueless in the football mist. Wishing for a twist, but nightmares persist. Shift the blame like drifting sand. Promises empty, no steady hand. Wandering clueless in the football mist. Wishing for a twist, but nightmares persist. Where's the Leo who waited in vain? Pains us deeply every season the same. No direction, stumbling blind. Tottenham's lost its mind. Speechless, impressed, they're at the ground. No solutions, nowhere to be found. Fans on the side, hearts turned to stone. Stadium echoes a lonesome drone. Whispers in the air, they speak of change. Up on the horizon feels so strange. Question marks in every wayward pass. And ghosts of future fading fast. Where's the Leo who waited in vain? Pains us deeply every season the same. No direction, stumbling blind. Tottenham's lost its mind. Where's the Leo we waited in vain? Pains us deeply every season the same. No direction, stumbling blind. Tottenham's lost its mind.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.
How you doing, everyone? Welcome to Tottenham Away, the best place to be in town if you're a Spurs fan, and the best intro in the business.
That's banging, eh? That's banging, wasn't it?
Look, I'm not even going to do the like, subscribe, and all that. I just want to know, do you like the new countdown clock, or are we going to scrap it?
What, us?
Why has it gone quiet? Why has it gone quiet? I don't like
I thought
this.
he was asking everyone else.
No words. What the hell was
Trying to
that?
take it all
man?
in.
What the hell was that?
If I had hair, man, I'd be banging at it.
Nah,
It's
man.
called Tottenham's Lost Its Mind.
Yeah, well, we think. Yeah, do you think?
I think it sums us up. I think it's quite fair.
I mean, let's
I
move on.
loved I loved it.
All right, people in the chat, let us know what you think of the new countdown clock, and then we'll go by with what the audience says. But anyway, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Welcome to the channel. Spurs, non-Spurs, great for you all to be with us. We've got Iggy, we've got JP, we've got James, we've got Lee, we've got Ian. How's everyone doing? Iggy, you good, man? Happy?
Yeah, I think it was a good weekend. I think in footballing terms, results-wise, for us as Spurs fans, I thought it was a great weekend. We started off the Saturday with a win in a London derby against West Ham. We hadn't beaten them in a couple of seasons. Absolutely tore them a new one in the second half. And you think, that's it. We can really start to enjoy our weekend. Then followed the Arsenal defeat. Then followed the Chelsea defeat. I mean, if you could if you know, as someone said many a times this weekend as a Spurs fan, if Carlsberg made made a perfect weekend, that would have been. It was thoroughly enjoyable. And I can't remember a weekend that I've enjoyed like that in terms of results in quite a while. So yeah, I'll take that any day of the week.
All right, mate.
JP,
West Ham
do you
get
agree with-
battered everywhere they go. You got to have a bit of that, ain't you? I said to the guy next to me, blimey, the amount of times I've heard people were singing that to us recently. It's nice to be able to sing it back at someone. As Iggy says, man, it's a good weekend. What more can you ask for? Give them an absolute spanking. Gooners lose. Had a nice roast on Sunday.
Yeah.
and then Chelsea lose as well.
We're going to win the league, mate. We're going to win it all. It's coming home. It's coming home.
It's coming. Oh man.
No,
It's-
listen.
it's-
It was good. I don't give two monkeys if West Ham
Biggie,
were
your
rubbish
mic.
or whatever. I don't give two monkeys if West Ham were rubbish or anything like that. At the end of the day, they're a team that them, Chelsea, Arsenal, they're the three teams that we want to kind of like really put the boot in. We didn't do it against Arsenal, but we put the boot into West Ham. So happy days. And you got to take that. You got to enjoy it. Anytime you get a decent result against them, you've got to enjoy it. So be happy, have a
James?
drink, move on.
Yeah, I
James, do you feel the
agree,
same
man.
way?
Yeah, of course. You got to enjoy the ups. If you're gonna suffer the downs, you've got to enjoy the ups. Otherwise, it's just suicidal.
Yeah, still.
I think I'm there.
What do you mean you think you're there? You've been there for goodness, Alan.
Been there for 25 years, yeah. Lee, you good? Happy bunny?
Yeah, got to be happy about a result beating West Ham 4-1, right? Got to be happy. Did the same as JP, had a roast on Sunday. Can't go wrong. All is well. Although if Mark's in the chat, he's probably spacking out about the fact he can see even more red now. But I promise, Mark, it's gone this weekend. Half of it's done. You can see a bit there. He's almost done, and then the rest of it's going at the weekend. So don't worry, there'll be no more red. I'll put a big cockerel sign on that wall forward just for you, mate. LED one, all right?
Yeah, you've got to sort that out, Lee. You can't have red on the show.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible, isn't it? Terrible.
Ian, how you doing, my man?
All good today. Thank you. That was walked out the ground very happy. Saturday, thoroughly enjoyed it. Apart from the odd attack, I thought we controlled the whole game. Then the other results followed, and Paul Mercer went out strictly as well. I mean, just to put a cherry on the cake. So,
Boom.
not been too bad a weekend, is it? We need a few more of these, don't we?
Yeah.
They're lovely when they happen.
We definitely need more. Well, listen, we'll get into the actual game itself and the context of it. I do want to start off by putting a message out to Cliff, right? Free Cliff. Okay, we've got a free Cliff because what happened was
Unbelievable.
somebody called Spurs Crusade on Twitter, massive fan of the channel, tagged us in at Tottenham away. Was you happy with the win? You sat there with long faces. I got told off for laughing. Still laughed. Why can't fans celebrate, enjoy the moment with a good win? You lot spend a lot of time in delusion. Do you politician fans celebrate a good win? Just basically having a dig at us. The thing is, we're not on Twitter, Spurs Crusade. And what you've done is you've tagged in poor Cliff. You've tagged in Cliff. What's Cliff done wrong? So Cliff got pelters for no reason. So look, free Cliff.
Big up,
man.
Cliff.
Big up, to
Cliff, if you watch us or if you know about us, well, I'm sure after the abuse you've been getting, I'm sure you know about us already. But yeah, honestly, I've responded to the guy to say that leave the guy alone. He's got nothing to do with the channel, and that's why we're saying free Cliff, leave him be, justice for Cliff. And leave the man alone, man. He just wants photos and videos of Spurs fans going to away
Free
grounds,
clip.
which is why he's got
Free
Tottenham
clip.
away in his handle. So big up, Cliff.
Unbelievable. Do you know what cracks me up about that post?
Cliff,
as
if you're
well?
watching, say hello.
The thing is, okay, this
Come on.
guy,
Come on.
this Spurs, this yeah, Cliff, you're welcome on the. In fact, Cliff, we are
I
going
mean, if
to.
you're going to say it's toxic, you might as well come on.
We want Cliff on this channel.
We want Cliff. If
Spurs
anyone knows
Crusade.
Cliff, someone in
Go on.
Twitter find Cliff. We want him on here.
Yeah, I think we should build a statue of Cliff.
We want him to build off with Jimmy Greaves. We're not going to get one for Cliff.
I think we get one on Cliff. What cracks me up though is this guy's taking a dig at us or me. But the thing is, right? Spurs Crusade. Before the game, I did a video saying we're going to win 3-1 or 4-1. I did another video with JP.
You had a chat with me as well, didn't you?
I said I predict we're going to win 4-1. I don't get it. I don't understand why people do it. But anyway, look, let's get.
I think he's referring to the stream we did Sunday night.
It's because you're normally miserable. That's why.
Yeah, that is true though.
I'm honest. What can I do? Anyway, look, let's get into the game. We're having a bit of fun there, in case anyone takes it too seriously. But we do want a free Cliff though. We do want a free Cliff. So it was a great performance from Spurs overall. I thought we dominated them. If we get into the stats, which we would in a minute, we were clearly by far the better team. But look, I don't know about you guys, but I did a couple of shows last week. I did one with Charlie on his channel, No Filter FC, and I think I did something with Mari as well. And when we're doing the predictions, everyone was saying like 2-1 Spurs, 2-2. One or two people predicted the loss. I never felt anything other than we were going to batter them. By the way, I don't always get it right. Because I watched them against Chelsea and I saw the way they defend and it was just shocking. And I thought, my God, you play just like Spurs, but worse. This is a dream come true for us. You're the exact team we need to play against for our system to look amazing. So I thought, we're going to batter you. And also, their manager, he's just as stubborn as Ange, never changes it. Like, high line, leave that gap behind. And I thought, there's no way we're not going to put at least 3 past them. And it kind of played out that way. So I wasn't shocked at all. But again, guys, look, I'm going to say it. And if you want to have a go at me, have a go. I look at this like the Man United game. I'm not wowed. It's another team in that lower bracket that isn't very good that I expect us to beat every time. And I think we will beat all these types of teams. This does nothing for me. I'm exactly the same place I was before the game. But look, let's go around. You can give it all you got to celebrate the wins, but yeah, celebrate it, but I'm not wowed by it. That's my point. I'm just not, it doesn't impress me. I need to see something a lot more than that. So look, good win, 3 points, happy with the win, but it's exactly what I predicted. That's my take on it. Yeah, feel free, whoever wants to go.
I mean, at the end of the day, look, it would have been, if we didn't get a result, then it would have been all doom, gloom, and we should have beaten a team like that and all that palaver, right? The fact that we've gone out there and put them to the sword, even though we would have expected, or I think a lot of us, I said to you when we were chatting, walking down by the stadium, the amount of people that I had a chat with on the train and stuff is like, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? It's like, we should beat them, but... And like that was literally everyone's comment. And it is one of those games where literally West Ham do raise their game for Spurs every single time. Whenever we play them, whatever the team is, whoever the coaches are and stuff, they tend to raise their game. The fact that they didn't, not on us, right? We went out there and did what we needed to do, scored the goals. They capitulated. They even lost their head at the end. Kudos got his daft red card for basically hacking old Mickey. Like, they absolutely lost it. They absolutely capitulated. We took advantage of that. Carry on taking advantage of all those teams underneath the top 10, as you say. Fabulous. Let's kind of like crack on and do that, as long as we whack them all, right? But I did expect a little bit more from West Ham. they didn't bring it. Not on
JP,
me.
have you watched much of West Ham this season? Because I have, and they've
No.
been absolute shit. Lopetegui needs to be sacked. I don't think he can handle it. My personal opinion. I think those players are better than what we're seeing, but I don't care. We beat them.
I mean,
Those players don't suit the way they
Kudos
want to
was
play.
good. Kudos was good prior to, like, I think obviously once we went 3-1 up or something, I think obviously their heads went down. Then we spacked them 4-1 straight away. It was literally 3 goals quite quickly, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought Kudos was good. I thought Bowen was good. I actually thought that Wan-Bissaka did all right. But you know, as I say, the fact that we've gone out there and done it, we could have not turned up. We could have did what we did against Brighton in the second half and capitulated or gone back in our shells and all of that palaver, but we didn't. So I mean, it's not big up the boys or anything like that, but they did what it needed to do. Took their chances that we had.
We could have.
Sonny should have bloody scored as well. He hit the post.
We could have been 2-0 down in this game because they went 1-0 up. They literally had one attack and they cut us open. And then they had another attack, very similar. And Vicario made an unbelievable save. Well, I was behind it. It was a phenomenal. The ball came at him at a ridiculous speed.
Yeah,
He's
Big Vic at it again.
What did I say last time I was on? I'd have him over Raya. What happened with Raya?
We'll let sleeping dogs lie on that one. Just let
Yeah.
that
I
Okay,
said he's a great shot stopper. I've always said that. That's Vic. That's what he's good at. But the point here I'm making isn't to wind up you lot about Vicario, because you know I'm right. But
yeah, cool.
They could have been 2-0 up, even though we dominated that game. They could have been 2-0 up, which is a good thing they're not. They didn't because we buried them.
Still, look, we had 2 weeks to sit on that terrible second half versus Brighton. We've had to wait a long time to get this game underway. We had it at home in front of our fans. First game, lunchtime kickoff. A lot of teams. I've been watching quite a few games, not just in the Premier League, but even also abroad. When you return from an international scene, you don't know what kind of state the players are going to be back on, and you don't know what results. There's some surprising results, quite a few surprising results this weekend all over Europe. So for us, it was good, you know, to get at. And at the end of the day, we started off really well. I thought, even when we went 1-0 down, I thought we was the better team. And then when we equalised, I thought, you know what, this is only going to be Spurs here. After Kulusevski equal, but also we have to talk about Kulusevski, but you know, levels, man. I thought he was really good. Got us the equaliser, and I thought second half, if we can just sort 1 or 2 things out at half time, this is our game to lose. And Ange, who gets accused a lot for not changing, did change it. I didn't think Maddison was necessarily terrible. He wasn't playing brilliantly, but I don't think he was terrible. No, but it was on the telly. It said it was a tactical substitution. It wasn't due to injury. It was stated more than once about that change. And you know, you could see Maddison was annoyed, and you could see his face was disappointed when he hauled off. But he did make the change. He made a call, made a big call on that, and by putting Sarr. Not everyone understood that substitution for large parts, but it worked out well. It gave us a bit more balance. It gave us a bit more energy. He helped out defensively. He was able to get about, put tackles in, and he allowed, I felt, more freedom to Son to really do his thing further up the field, but also allowed Dogi to say, "You go, man. I've got you. If you need, you know, if you need covering." Just gave us a bit more energy, and I think it suited us much better in that second half, and allowed us to. Once we got our noses in front, albeit fortunate in the way that we did it, there was only going to be one team, and I expected us to go and get 3 or 4 after that. If I have to, yeah. Sorry, I was just reading Daryl's message. If I have to pinpoint, the only thing I would say that once we went 4-1 up, it was still half an hour to go. And the only disappointing thing for me was that once you saw blood and they were there, they were literally like on their knees then, we should have just gone on to batter him even more. perhaps Mikey Moore could have come on. Perhaps a couple of the other youngsters we got on the bench, arguably maybe should have come on. But it didn't happen. We kind of took the pedal, kind of foot off the pedal a little bit in that last half an hour, which is not my way of saying. I would have liked us to go and get 5, 6, 7, however many you can get, because in these situations, when you're on top, you've got to go for the kill. We battered them 4-1, but we could have absolutely annihilated them in that last half hour because they didn't do anything. But that's just being picky. I would have taken a 4-1 win any time of the week. So yeah, good win. And then, like I said earlier, what followed after that, all the other results around us, Arsenal, Chelsea losing, it just couldn't get better. Saliba getting a 3-match ban, even better.
Is it 3 or 1? I read somewhere it's 1
3.
game.
3, isn't it?
3-match ban.
Right, yeah,
It's got a 3-match ban, and what made it even more funny, Tossi made exactly the same. Tossi made exactly the same foul again, in the following day in exactly the same situation, but only got a yellow card. I mean, it was just hilarious.
Yeah, but I think someone was over on the left-hand side to cover that tossing, wasn't there?
Do you know what? To be honest with you, you can look at that.
I don't get that. If you're the last man, you're the last man.
You're like, yeah, but the thing is, I hear you guys here, but he's also like on the halfway line. That's a long way away from goal, man.
They're both red cards.
Do you think they should have gone though? Because they're quite a long way. I know we're getting sidetracked here a little bit, but there's quite a long way from goal.
That was Romero. It's a straight red. They're not even going to question it. It's a straight red. You know it.
So we're going to talk about. It's a 1-match ban for last man red cards.
Do you know what it is, though? You know what I'm finding is this VAR decisions, right? Is it an objective view or is it a subjective view? It's like I don't understand. Like it seems to be like. Anyway, we can talk about it after.
We're going to come on to Romero, Saliba, and all this conversation because the conversation does need to be had on this. But Lee, James, Ian, Spurs 4, West Ham 1.
Yeah, I'll go. Listen, for the first 20 minutes, I thought it was going to be a bit more of the same. I think I sent Iggy you guys a message saying I was actually enjoying watching Kudos play more than I was actually watching our whole team play. But then we sort of kicked it off. We were definitely the better team most of the match. But this is what I've been saying for like weeks, is that when teams allow us to play, then we can get results. And West Ham did it. They came to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Almost said White Lane there, Jesus. They didn't sustain us with a load of pressure. It was in spurts here and there, every now and again. But most of the time, they just let us play, and they let us bring it out from the back. And when we're not under pressure, we can get goals, we can get results. It's as simple as that. And that's what they did. And that's why, as you said, this, if they play like that and they don't put us under intense pressure, then, we're going to get the results and we're going to get the goals, because there's one thing we can do. We can score goals. Although sitting there watching Liverpool, Chelsea yesterday, Man City, I'm really thinking about, if these guys come to us and they do put us under pressure, I don't see how we get results out of them. We almost have to have like the perfect scenario to get the results and play like this for the system to work. And West Ham just, they let us play our game and we gave them a beating. I'm with Iggy as well, though. I was sitting there for the last 30 minutes or so thinking, let's put them to the sword. Let's just go out there and let's humiliate them, right? It's West Ham. When they come and beat us, they love to humiliate us. So let's humiliate them. And we didn't really.
Yeah, but that's
we had a
because
few chances here and there.
Because he brought Timo Werner on, and then it was like just blunt.
Even he had a. When he came on and then he brought Richarlison on, that's when I started shouting at the match. Most of the time I was quiet, apart from the old chants here and there. I was like, as you do. And then when those two come on, that's when I started moaning again because of some of the things I was seeing, and Richarlison, holding up the ball and then passing it back 30 yards to the defenders. Like, what are you doing, man? Just turn around and go. Oh, just draining me. So, yeah, but listen, overall, happy with the result. I think it was the right result. They let us play our game. We put, we put 4 past them, or 3 and 1 past them themselves, and everything is well. And the rest of the results, for the weekend. Was great. I watched those other teams though, and I just don't see how we're going to get similar kind of results against them, which are the ones that matter. That's where we have to pick up the points. We should be beating the lower teams. That's where we need to pick up the points against the bigger teams.
Yeah, I kind of agree, but I kind of disagree as well. Obviously, this is the part where the Ange lover comes in. But for me, I think we've been better than most teams that we've played all season. I thought we were better than Newcastle. I thought we was just as good as Arsenal. I thought we were better than Leicester. I thought first half we was better than Brighton. Second half, obviously, they were better. So I do agree. I personally believe if we had a different front three, Ange system would work. I think that we would be in a really good position. It's just our front three.
Too many goals, James. We let in too many goals.
But we don't. The stats say that we don't.
But you're playing like that. You change the front three, we're still letting goals, don't we? I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying.
Up until Brighton, we had the second best defence in the league. So we do letting goals. Where does that come from? Because the stats,
the fact that we're in there one clean sheet in 18 matches.
Yeah, but that's different. You said we let in too many goals, though. That's different
because,
we don't keep clean sheets.
It's because 70% of our league games have been against bottom 10 teams. We've only played.
We can only judge by what we see, though. We can only judge by what we see, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm applying context to the metrics of our defence. Our defence has only been mainly up against crap teams so far. The only good team in that bottom 10 you could say we came up against, it's got a little bit, maybe something about them, is maybe Brentford. Maybe, but they had a lot of injuries the day we played them. So I don't think we've played hardly any good teams yet. We played 3 and we've lost all 3.
Yeah. On black and white, I do agree with you, but football's not always black and white. There's, like you said, there's always context to it. Like the Newcastle game, we should have battered them. We should have easily won them. We didn't deserve to lose to Arsenal, in my opinion. Brighton was just, there's no explanation. That's just Spursy. You get those. You come confident with them. I just think that I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people are making out after this season. Ultimately, I would want more points on the board. I agree, but I think that we've gone away to Newcastle and should have got the points. Arsenal at home, we didn't deserve to lose. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think we've been as bad as people make out this season.
No, it's all context. Like, if you look at our goals scored, right? I've got it here now. So, in terms of goals scored, Spurs are currently second in the league. We've scored the second most amount of goals, only behind Man City. Goals against, out of the top 10, we are
fourth,
joint third. Right? So the goals for and the goals against are very, very good, like really good. But the context that I'm applying is, who are those games against? It's a bit like last year when we were.
Yeah, but surely you can't. Yeah, but that's like saying. Yeah, but that's like saying, oh yeah, but when we do, it's all you've already given up before you've even played them. Like, let's face it, Newcastle away, I thought we were going to get smacked.
I'm applying context to this. I'm not giving up. I gave up years ago. I'm applying context to the stats because it's like anything. You know, you could say, we've scored 10 goals, for example, but what if you beat one team 9-0 and then you beat one team 1-0, then lost the rest? But we've scored 10 goals. Yeah, but when you look at where and how, it paints a different picture, doesn't it? I think that's what it. I think that's what. That's the bias.
I'll change my statement. James, I'll change
the cold figures.
I'll change my statement, James. I think we've been better in from set pieces, and my concern is the way that we've been letting in goals. I mean, you just like Iggy said, you look at the way West Ham they scored one, and the other one, which Vicario saved. You look at the context of those two chances and how bad our positional defending was. It's absolutely unbelievable how bad it was. I mean, you can look at Johnson, who's supposed to be backing up Porro, and he's standing still when Kudus is there, and he's only at the last minute when he's realised that he's in front of him that he makes a last-ditch attempt to try and get the ball away from him. I think it's more the context of the way that we let in goals and how simple it is for people to score against us, rather than the amount of goals.
Yeah, but this is. I agree with you. So I'm not. I disagree. I do agree with you. But the way I would batten that back is, I would say, if I was Johnson standing, all right, maybe that's wrong. Johnson should have been further back, or vice versa. But if you're Johnson and you're looking at that pitch and you've got Udogie, goal side, you've got your whole back line there, your midfielder, you had like 7 players in the box. You're not expecting him to do what he did and to deliver that ball. Like, that's just crazy. That's what I would say is the goals that we have conceded. I think Udogie's made 3 or 4 mistakes this season that have all led to goals. So if you take him out of that, position by stupid mistakes,
that's my point. Stupid
mistakes. But that's not Ange's fault, though, is it? What happened this weekend?
Well, someone's coaching him.
No, I'm sorry.
Just let him go out and go do whatever you like.
No, but that when Bowen took on, I think Bowen took on Udogie. When he did that is basic. My 11-year-old knows how to defend that. So you've got a professional footballer in there that can't defend what he's just been put up against. You can't blame Ange for that. That's Udogie for being shit at defending. I'm sorry.
And I'm not blaming Ange. I'm just saying that
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying it as a
mistakes
whole.
Like that, and way Udogie, Porro's positional, the Leicester goal, Romero's position, etc., they're the worrying aspects, that those things don't go away without being defensively coached. And that's where I think in the summer, we were all sort of saying we need strikers, we need wingers and stuff like that. And we were like, we're content with the back 4, but that's where most of the issues are coming from now. If we got rid of that, we would be top of the table, right? Let's be honest. We had a solid backline that weren't making mistakes and weren't letting in stupid, tapping goals.
One thing
much further up there.
One thing I would say, just to not necessarily to back James up a bit, but so
do it, JB. Back it.
Don't back him up. Don't do that.
We've played what? 8. We've played 8 games and let in 9 goals, right? Considering the back end of last season, how many did we let in?
That's 1 less than Arsenal, by the way, JP. 1 less than Arsenal.
One more.
And we've been away at United, away at Newcastle. We have gone down a couple of tricky away games. Away Newcastle, away United. I know people say, they're not the same. All right, but we've still gone away from home and not been slapped like we did last season. For me, I did see a stat the other day as well. I think we've had something like 59 set pieces against us and conceded 1 goal in the Romero. And even that, people were arguing, was that a foul? Was that not a foul? For me, that's just shit defending. But there is improvements going on.
Yeah, I've got some stats here somewhere.
I think from my point of view, I would say it still seems easy the way teams can get behind us or get into opportunities to be having shots, right? It's like, as I was saying just now, 8 games, 9 goals, right? If we carry that form to the end of the season, that's a win.
But again, this is my point, JP. We're all harping on about the high line. How many of those 9 goals will end has been from a set piece or from this high line where they've broken us over, they've gone over the top and beat us? I don't think hardly any of them. I think they've all been from either stupid mistakes or where they've got in behind us and it's a tap-in because positionally the defender's not picking up the people in the box.
True.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that's the worst. Yeah, exactly. Switching off, that's the worst thing you can get. Just like you said, James, you don't expect Udogie to make a mistake there, but what you've got to be 100% of the time is switched on. If you're not switched on, you're going to get caught out. So,
Lee, that's down to Ange.
What my point is, all right, you can chuck that in. But what my point is that when that's happening against the lower teams or the lower 10 teams, right? Imagine that when you're playing Man City or Liverpool or something like that, and we're under pressure, it's going to get worse. So that's where I think tighten that up. Sky's the limit, right?
I think the problem is I don't know how to describe it, but I think we've got players that I would say Romero, Maddison, even Son. If the game is going correctly, they are the 3 first people on the score sheet. So if we're winning 3-0, though, I can guarantee you they're going to be the best 3 players on the pitch. The moment you go 1-0 down, for me, they're the first three players that go missing, or the head goes, or is sort of panic station. What do we do? So for me, I think they're sort of like almost like the cherry on the top kind of players. But when things don't go right their way, that they're the worst players on the pitch at the same time.
Romero's definitely been like that this season, hasn't he? Like,
So is Maddison.
I think can I just come in on just talking about what you guys have been discussing the last few minutes? The 8 goals for me: Romero 4, Udogie 3, and Van der Ven against Brentford when he left in Bueno in the first minute. They're individual errors. That we're not getting caught on counter attacks, like, for argument's sake, was it Neto's goal at Wolves, or when Saka took Davis on at the lane and scored? We're conceding different types of goals. The strikers, for me, the striking is better. I think Solanke has brought so much more to Spurs' overall game. Sonny, as soon as the ball went up to him, he lost it. Richie didn't play enough last year. I think he missed half the matches, so it was a very truncated position. In terms of, you just couldn't get any cohesion up front last year. Solanke's made a massive difference. We are. I said the other night on the podcast, you don't get any more for losing less. You're still getting 0, but we're not getting hammered. So we are getting closer to those teams. I agree with James and Lee. We could well be up at the top by now if we'd have just stopped making those stupid mistakes. You only need to score 1, keep a clean sheet. You got 3 points. We have to score 3 or 4 to make sure we win. It's crazy. We scored 4 against West Ham and Everton. We scored 3 against United, and there was the other game.
They're all in the bottom 10. These are all bottom 10 teams.
That's also the manager's tactics.
So we've had to score 3 and 4 to make sure we win, which is crazy, just crazy. But defensively, much better. 9 and 8 with the fifth best team in terms of conceding goals. I think Forest have got 6, Liverpool's 3, and I think Arsenal and Man City have conceded 8. And the other thing also is that, we talk about, we're only beating the teams at the bottom. Bloody hell, City went to the bottom team yesterday and only beat them in the 95th minute, and that goal could have been disallowed.
Hey, listen, they're champions. They don't get brushed with the same brush. They won that because they're champions, not because they're bottom of the table.
James, if that had been us at Molineux yesterday and we'd have won with a 95th minute goal, everybody on there, everyone would have been, there'd be steam coming out of everybody's head. Look at that weird shit. We only beat them with a 95th minute goal.
I agree. I think the way that Spurs fans have been bullied for so long and tortured for so long by Daniel Levy that we're all naturally just like, when's the next disaster going to happen? But it's true, because like you said, if we would have we beat West Ham, it's like, well, they're bottom half of the team. I expect us to. But when City do it, it's like, well, that's signs of champions. Or if Arsenal do it, well, that's the sign of a champion. They're up there. And I do agree, but I just think you need to brush everybody with the same brush, not different brushes.
No, James, it's different because Man City win trophies. Arsenal
we're still in all 4 competitions.
But I'm just saying, it's like we say about City because they are champions. Like, for me, this whole defending malarkey is all on Ange. I do not believe he spends enough time teaching them to defend when outnumbered and when under pressure.
Not his priority.
But Iggy, as a manager, the basic is change it when it's going wrong, right? Example, Udogie's getting rinsed, pull him off. Bring on Spence. You bring on Archie Gray. You have options. Reguilon's still in the squad. You've got options. Romero's having a stinker. Why have you brought Dragusin? Bring on Dragusin. It's not like we don't have options anymore. He doesn't change it. He waits until it completely collapses, and then it's a post-match interview where he talks absolute crap. Look, I don't want to go into this because we won, right? I'm happy we won. I predicted we were going to win. But
are you really?
You guys brought the whole defending, right? When it does go wrong, I put it all on Ange. For me, it's all on him because the way we set up under pressure and if there's individual errors, like I do want to ask you guys, because it's a conversation we need to have. Does this guy need to be pulled out? Because I'll be really honest with you. When he first came to Spurs, I watched a few videos of him playing at Udinese. And I thought, you know what? He's really good as an attacking wingback. I like this guy. He's got something about him. And when he does get into his stride, he can beat a couple of players. We saw it against Aston Villa last season when he got a player sent off for it. But this year, I've got to say, in fact, since he's come back from his injury, he looks shit. I'm going to say it. He looks absolute trash, man. I don't get it. I don't understand. You know, maybe he's having a bad patch. Maybe actually he wasn't as good as I thought. Maybe he just needs a break. What's your take on it? Because he's just getting rinsed by everyone at the moment. And it is worrying because I was saying it after the first 20, 30 minutes to the guy next to me. I said to him, have you noticed all their attacks are coming down this side? They're targeting this side. Kudus is having a field day. He's ripping us. But Jared Bowen ripped us to pieces at one point. And I thought,
hold on, still
they're attacking us deliberately here. They hardly ever attack down Burrow's side. They weren't doing it.
only twice for Bowen. That was it. Didn't see Bowen after that. I'd love him at Spurs to replace Son when Son goes. I think it'd be fabulous at Spurs. But he didn't do much after those first two. After Kulu scored, you didn't see Bowen. He was hardly in it.
When we blitz, this isn't about Bowen. This isn't about Bowen. We're changing. I'm talking about Udogie. Udogie got rinsed in that first half. He was getting rinsed, and it wasn't just this game. Against Brighton, he was toast. He was absolute toast.
Yeah.
Do you not feel though that there's an element to it is the fact that in the midfield, particularly on that left-hand side where Maddison plays, the balance isn't quite. I don't know. I just feel like on that right side,
his body shape is wrong. His positional awareness is wrong. He doesn't know who's around him at times. I just feel defensively, he's not the player I thought. I still have confidence that going forward, he's got something. I haven't given up on that with him. I just think defensively, he needs a man-to-man coach to work with him and teach him.
For sure.
How old is he? He's still pretty young.
His tackling is lacking as well.
He's
young. He's young. He can be.
He's used to, like you said earlier. He's used to playing with a back three, where he doesn't. He's probably never had to really worry about that much. Same as Porro, to be honest. Do you remember when Porro first joined us? And he's got so much better at defending. By the way, I have to say, I do think he's improved a lot since he first joined. For sure, he needs to also improve a lot more. But I've seen strides in that since he joined us in that defensive part. Maybe you don't get to do the same because playing with a back four is not the same as playing with a back three, and you just more focused. You defend, but not as a fullback. Do we need better? We'll find out. At the end of the day, we'll see. It's what we do with him and how we want to. If we want to invest in him, if not, we need to probably get another left back.
But you know, Iggy, look at Zuma's goal. Look at the run that Udogie made, held off the guy, and made it back beautifully. That's where he's strong as well. You know, let's not
defensively, guys.
He got rinsed for West Ham's goal, but he more than made up for it. You know, by
in terms of goals and conceding goals and defensive and all of that stuff. We are not designed for that. We will always be designed at the moment. It's just we are so, forward thinking that the priority isn't like you said. Like one of the guys in the comments said, it is like the priority to score goals and score lots of them. And in the manner that we play means that we will always concede quite a few chances for the opposition to score. It's just whether the opposition is good enough to take those chances. You saw against West Ham, they had two proper chances there to score quite early on. So we will always give those opportunities to oppositions just because of the way we play. But yeah, look, I hear you. I saw Udogie against Brighton. I wasn't pleased with him with that goal that we conceded at the end.
The first game of the season, who was that winger for Leicester? Is it Fatuma? I forgot his name. I always get it wrong. He's really good player, good winger. He destroyed the Udogie for 90 minutes.
I don't know. Sells, Leicester weren't in the game for the first hour. How can
Mate,
you just say
whenever they got the
Yeah.
ball and attacked that side, he had the better of a Dogie every time.
Do you
Every
boys
time he had
not?
the better
Do
of
you
him.
boys feel though, to a certain level? Whilst I'm not defending our
Go back
fullbacks
and
or
watch that
anything,
Leicester game. It was his fault
but
for the goal.
do you not feel there's an element of
And
the
Romero.
fact that our wingers do not help as anywhere near as
Both
much?
sides. Both
Well,
sides
they
they
don't
don't,
help,
Iggy.
man.
Brennan
I know,
Johnson doesn't come back
I'm not.
and
Sonny's
cover for
just
Porro.
come back, but if you think when the whole time Sonny's been out, we've had who we had Werner playing in his place, and I don't see them busting the gut to help them. They are
I would
often
agree
left
with
1-on-1.
Sonny, but I actually thought Johnson did a lot of defending this weekend. I actually thought he got back quite a lot and helped out Porro quite a lot.
Yes, I do. It was much better to Johnson.
I thought he wasn't the same going forward as he has been, but I felt like he did a lot more tracking back this weekend than he has done before.
I just think if you see that your fullback's getting ripped, like just say, look, for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, just help
him a bit.
But yeah, help him out a little bit, just to say, to I don't know, maybe it's the tactics of the manager, maybe it's the instructions of the manager where perhaps he doesn't want them to do that. So I don't know, man. So it's, but
Is it fair?
I think it is because, like, I heard Ian saying just now, like, if we score a goal, it's like still worry. Like there's still worry there, right? Because it means we have to score 2, we have to score 3 just to kind of be in a comfortable place. But that's because that's how the manager wants to play, right? If he could quite easily go, okay, if we go 1-0 up, let's just drop back for 10 minutes, hold a little bit. Or if it's the last 20 minutes of the game, okay, we'll drop back. We'll be tactical about this. But he wants to go on for the second and the third and the fourth, which then leaves us so open, right?
Is it fair to say though that this is all like the teething problems at the start of a new manager? Like we did have Mourinho, Conte, and then now this guy's complete opposite. And the only way I can describe it and almost kind of compare it is Liverpool under Klopp had exactly the same thing. They were going to the likes of West Ham and getting pumped 4-0 in their second season under Klopp. So it's not like they come in and everything gets turned upside down and you're off and you're good. I think this guy has only been here for a year. The first pre-season of last season was just absolutely awful. And I'm not making excuses because this is the season for me. This is his last season for me to go, okay, let's see what you can do. Next season for me is like, right, you've had 2 years. The whole squad's been changed. I expect more. But it is only a year into like this whole rebuild or whatever you want to call it, build. Don't we have to be a bit more patient? Isn't it called a painful rebuild? Not, well, I expect us to be smacking everybody in the top 10, or I expect us to be conceding none. I expect us to be scoring 30. Like, isn't this all part of learning a new philosophy and going in the, well, I don't know if it's the right direction because I thought Conte was the right direction, but
yeah,
like,
I think I would say, James, that sounds fair and logical if that was the statement that would have been made earlier, right?
mm-hmm.
And in terms of, you could understand that maybe, okay, the type of player we've gone out and purchased, like we've bought these young kids, like that Archie Gray, I feel for him a little bit now. It's like that was a hell of a lot of money that we spent on him, not his fault. And we were keen to get him, and he's one for the future and stuff. Like, bring the boy on. He's a midfielder. Play him in midfield. Like, he's getting 2 minutes at left back, 3 minutes at right back. We're losing 2-3-2. It's 2-2 against Brighton. He doesn't even get to come on to help like affect the game. We've bought these players for a reason. But it's almost like we don't want to put them in a position to be able to show what they can do. So when are we? So how are they going to progress next year into becoming this?
All right, JP. So question for you. A user says, based on what you just said, is Ange a career destroyer or a career improver?
Well, I struggle to see who he's really improved since he's been here.
Johnson?
Has he improved
Johnson
him, or is he, is it just the fact that he's just been on a streak for the last
But
5?
it's quite hard to say because it's all quite a new squad. Because I'd say Porro's fantastic. I'd say Vicario's fantastic. I would say Johnston's improved. Like we never really saw
too soon
Star.
to say then? Is it too soon
Yeah,
to
I
answer
think
that question?
so. I mean, I can only judge from my point of view. My point of view is this season is the last season you've got to embed your system. Everybody should know what it is, and that's why I believe the likes of James Maddison now is going to be dropped a lot more because before half time, I don't know if you guys saw before half time, he was jogging back, and I think it was Porro run past Maddison and back towards the defensive, and he was sort of jogging. And then you turn around and Ange, I don't know if you guys saw, Ange pointed to Sarr and went, "You on fucking now." And then he kind of walked, that's all he said. He didn't even make the minds. He pointed to him on the pitch as he walked down the tunnel. And I thought, you're trying to embed your philosophy, whether or not Maddison's our best player. If this is his philosophy going forward, then it's like, okay, learn it or off you go. I mean, even Kulu's been improved. Like Kulu wasn't this good even under Conte, in my opinion.
He was playing on the right, wasn't he? Though I think this role that he's been given the license to really be the number 10 that we've been crying for. So,
But if we're going to slate Ange for people that he hasn't improved, he put him centre midfield. So does Ange not deserve some of the credit for that, or is that all on Kulu?
no, of course,
I think he's been used there, and he's been used there for Sweden, and you can see that his output is better there than it is on the wing.
If you remember Kulu in an interview, I think might have been last season or the season before, he was asked where he likes to play, and Kulu, if I remember correctly, he said he wants to be in that number 10. He sees himself as playing the number 10, but he said he will always do what the manager asks him. If he tells him to go and play on the right, play on the right. Look, for me, the best we could personally do with this team currently, in my opinion, is I would have done this ages ago, but of course it's not my team. This is Ange Postecoglou's team. But for the players that we got, we should definitely be playing with a back three. I think we get so much more from our fullbacks, wing backs. This is what Porro. This is the irony. When we were playing with wing backs, we had Emerson and Reguilon playing. Two fullbacks playing in a wing back role. Now we tried and getting the right wing backs to play in the back play in that system. And now we've got two wing backs playing as fullbacks, so it's always like it's lagging. The position, the formations move on, but our players are lagging from this. So we got players from the old system instead of the new system. Do
you agree with this super chat? Do you agree with this super chat from Ian?
We're playing two things. Udogie played.
How much we still have to do in the transfer market? Do you agree with that then?
Listen, Ian's right. We don't have traditional fullbacks. We had right
wing backs.
We've got. Listen, Udogie played in Udinese. Someone wrote Udogie played in the back three in Udinese. He was playing as a wing back. For Italy, he's playing. Well, DiMarco is in the team before Udogie, but he's utilised. You wouldn't play DiMarco as a fullback, as a left back, would you? He's one of the best wing backs around at the moment. So, of course, he's going to give you more if he plays in the position that he's totally comfortable with. So, for me, in this team, we should be playing with a back three. I think we'd make so much more. We'd get so much more out of these guys as wing backs. And Johnson and Son could both play as a second striker with the next to Solanke. I think they could both play those roles. Son can play up front, and he could play alongside Solanke, as can Johnson. So we would get so much, because let's be honest, outside of Johnson and Son, what use do we have with playing those wide forwards? We don't, do we? Really and truly, what Werner or the other guys that are waiting to play? I think they can both play as second strikers, and the midfield wouldn't change at all because they'll still be the three, and the wing backs will be offering us like I said, so much more, and they'd be playing right up on the touchline, and there could be so much use. But we don't play like that because we play with inverted fullbacks. That's another thing. Not only do these guys play fullbacks, but they play inverted fullbacks. So it's completely out of their comfort zone. I don't think Porro's doing it a little bit more better because I think generally he's a better all-round footballer than Udogie is. But you're right, guys. Someone mentioned it earlier. He's 21 years old. So there is margins for improvement and to learn a lot more. So I just think that if we're gonna play a certain way, we need to buy certain players to also emphasize to really galvanise what the manager's trying to implement. You got to get players that are suitable for that role. Do you remember that the back four? We had we had Dyer before, and it wouldn't work. We tried it with a back three at the back, with him in the middle of it, and he was just. Do you know what I mean? It's horses for courses, and I think if this is the way Ange is going to play, and he's made no two means about it, he's going to carry on with this. We need to get the right players for him to allow him to do it, but proper players to allow him to do that.
Would you
argue? And if we can invest in those players and bring them in, then we have to have the manager long enough.
Would you argue, Iggy? Would you
go on with that?
Would you argue that he had the opportunity in the summer and he didn't? Really
Could you imagine getting all these players in and then we fuck off Ange? What would be the point?
But this manager, there's questions need to be asked. At the end of the day, he chooses to bring on Werner. He's got Bergvall. He's got Mikey Moore. He chooses to bring on the worst player I've seen play for Tottenham in 20 years, Timo Werner. That is on Ange. He made that sub.
So why should the club invest on players to suit Ange's system if we're not going to stick around with the manager? It's pointless, right? Because then the new manager comes in, has new ideas, and then we've got all these bunch of players that have come in for Ange's system who are no longer required, and then we've got them sitting there at Hotspur Way for what? And this is what's happening. The manager moves on, and we've got a load of players in.
Iggy, the flip side of that is then we've got a manager who hasn't got players for his system.
So then we have to decide. We either stick it out with Ange. Okay, so we stick it out with Ange. We either stick it out with Ange and get in the players, or get rid of Ange and utilise the players better that we have right now for a system that's better suited for the players that we have currently in the squad. Someone's getting it wrong, mate. So if it's easy, of course it's easy to get rid of the manager. It's only one guy.
Right now, if we say right now it's Ange, right? It's Ange and it's Ange's team, and Ange goes and gets the players. Ange has gone and got Werner back.
No, but I disagree here. This is where I disagree, because people are picking on the one sentence that he said about saying I have the last say or whatever he said. Yeah, people are picking that one sentence out that he said. Well, I heard him say about 15, 20 times last season, this front three are not good enough. Yeah, they are not good enough. So why are we picking? He wanted Timo Werner when he said 20 times before that he's not good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
James, do you not think
he also said Timo Werner is a good player?
Wait a minute. Forget Werner.
When he's signed for us, he's not going to say, he's a load of crap, get him out, is he? He's not going to do that. But what I'm saying is a lot of people hang on to that.
You can't have it both ways like that. Can't have it.
No, but you can't. But what I'm saying is you can't cherry pick what Ange just said and use that against Ange when he said 20 times before that these front three are not good enough. Oh yeah, but we got the same guy back. I mean, I'm only speaking for myself, but I've seen the same patterns for the last 24 years. It doesn't matter if it's Conte with Dead Spence. It doesn't matter if it's Mourinho. It doesn't matter if it's. It doesn't matter. This happens over and over again.
Massive difference. Still, massive difference this year with Solanke. Completely.
I disagree with this.
Completely changed the dynamic of the front three. Completely. We've got someone who can hold the ball up now. We've got someone who can pull defenders around, who can make space for Johnson and Son. You saw what happened on Saturday. He was an unsung hero on Saturday. All I've heard from loads of Spurs fans is what a great game Solanke had on Saturday.
Everyone looks good against crap teams. Where was he against the big boys? Nothing. He offered nothing.
There are no gimmies in the Premier League. There are no.
Harry Kane and Son score and create against the big boys. There's levels to this as well.
Right, but we haven't played him yet. We haven't played him yet.
He played against Arsenal. What did he do?
It was his. He played against Leicester, and then he didn't play for 4 weeks. And he's coming into a new club, into a new system. Don't expect him to slot in like Kane and Son after 10 years. The guy's had one match.
But was told he scored 19 goals at Bournemouth.
That was Bournemouth. That he proved he was a player at Bournemouth. He's coming into a new system. Should I say something? Gary Lineker didn't score for the first till the end of September.
Last year. Now he's gone out left.
Still, Lineker didn't score for the first 6 games at Spurs. What would this
Solanke's
podcast
never
been
had a
that minute?
decent season other than one at Bournemouth in 5 years. The hype we put on this guy, honestly, because he holds up the ball, because he links up the play.
He leads the press. He links the play.
What's the job of a striker, Ian? What's the job of the striker?
Do you know he scored 3 and 6?
What's the job of a striker? Ian, what's the job of a striker?
Terrible.
No. Hold on. Kidman's Son scored more goals in the Premier League than Solanke. Son doesn't play striker, and Son's played just as many games as Solanke. Defend it.
That's great. Please God. Solanke, Son, and Johnson share the goals like Firmino did with Suarez and Sturridge.
Solanke's the number 10. He spent 65 million. Everyone said last season, we need a proper striker. Once we get a proper striker, we're going to cook. We spent 65 million on the striker. He doesn't score.
Who would you have brought in instead still that we could have got?
Gyökeres from Sporting Lisbon.
We could have got. And you think he'd have come to Spurs?
We didn't try.
You know, the only way I can kind of half relate this to an Ange. So this for me is the difference between Timo Werner and Solanke. If you go watch Celtic, the striker they had was almost like a dog's body. It'd work, create space for the likes of the wingers, the Jota and the other fella. And it's almost kind of the same we're doing now. Solanke is working, drawing people in. And I mean, Johnson's scoring goals and Son's scoring goals. So it is working, whether it's him scoring or not. I mean, I am with Stel in the respect of all the stuff he's doing off the ball. Fantastic. I love it. I think he's great. But you've got to be in that box more often. You've got to be providing more goals than not. Because, say, for example, you come across an Arsenal that have got like a Ben White, who's basically a centre-back. He will man-mark Stone. And then you've got Calafiori, the other side, who will man-mark Johnson. That is when the big boys, and again, it's where we've been spoiled with Harry Kane, steps up and gets that goal. I haven't seen that yet from Solanke. So, and I don't know if he's got that. And he's like, even the goals he scored, they're tapping. Don't be wrong, fantastic.
Do you know what it is about Solanke, right? Do you know what it is about Solanke that does my nutting? By the way, I just want to say, a user and Ian, you've put 2 super chats in. I'm going to come to your super chats when we get onto those subjects. Otherwise, it's going to derail the chat. Is Mr. Positive Maz? Big up, Maz. I'll tell you what it is with Solanke, right? This is what does my head in. It's the way we flip from one argument and defend another argument. Example, last season, all I heard was, we need a proper number 10. Son's not the answer. We bring in a number 10. Number 9, and he doesn't score. Well, then what was everything that was said to me last season? Solanke got injured, and do you remember against Newcastle when we lost? Everyone went in on Heung-min Son. They slammed him because that cross against the box, Son didn't attack it. If that was Solanke, he'd score. If Solanke was there, well, Solanke's back. Where is he with these goals? We had 13 corners. How many did he get on the end of? He's not the player everyone made out. He's not a good striker. He never has been. He had a wonder season at Bournemouth last year, who played a completely different way to us. He's a tapping merchant and an open goal kind of specialist. He's never going to be a Kane, a Defoe, a Berbatov, a Keane, and we've spent 65 million on him. I think pressing the ball, I think he's really good. I think holding up the play, I agree with Ian. I think he's really good, Ian. There was moments in the game against West Ham where he got the ball, he drove forward and released us. Great. Well, if that's what you want, go and sign a fucking midfielder. We need someone that, when we're in these tight games where one goal can win it and we're up against it, that's when you need a Kane, a Berbatov, someone that does something out of the, ordinary and wins it for us. And what pisses me off the most about this is that when you look at when you look at the league table, the top 10 scorers, he's not even in it. In fact, he's 19th in the league. Nicholas Jackson, who we all slagged, I slammed this guy. He's on 5. He's outdoing Solanke, and I think he's crap. And he's outdoing Solanke by a country mile. So, Ian, we got to listen. We had this bet. You said to me that Solanke's going to
I must
outscore
be
Sunderland.
still. He scored 3
One
assists.
minute, hold on. One last thing.
6, sorry.
Go on.
What's wrong with 3 and 6?
No, I'm talking Premier League. I don't care about Karabag.
Hang on. Sonny
Vakos.
doesn't normally score
Timo
more
Werner
than
can
one.
score against those teams. Anyone can score against those teams. The Premier League,
No, he can't.
where we want to get top 4, challenge for the title. Solanke isn't doing it. He's not. I'm talking just goals because I put a message out on our community page saying brilliant pressing, brilliant link-up play, really good technical player. I bigged him up. Just on goal scoring in the league, he's not good enough. And everyone lost their mind in our chat because they didn't listen to what I said. He's not a good goal scorer.
But still, I think what you're saying is so harsh because I think you're talking about one extreme or the other extreme. Let's get it right. This guy joined us pretty much in the last. Hear me out. I agree with you. I agree with you. He joined like last day of the transfer window. He's only been here a few games. Then he got injured, and then now he's come back. I agree. I want him to be scoring more goals. I'm with you on that. But we have to give these people time to learn the Ange system and get involved with the team. We can't go right. You've played 6 games. Get out your crap. Like it's not fair.
This guy James, he's had a new manager this season. How's he learnt it? How's he done?
But he's been at Chelsea for a year or so. Yeah, he's joined a little while ago.
New manager, new system, new philosophy. These are excuses. Solanke has spent more time in England playing football.
Still.
He's a ready-made Premier League striker, so why did we buy him if he needs about half a dozen games to settle in? The whole point of buying him is because he's a Premier League striker.
We're not here for your happy clapping, mate.
Maz,
I've come here to sort you out, James. I can't believe it. Andy in as well. I find it amazing, right? I'm not very well, so I'm not going to be on here for too long. But after the Brighton game, I log on. I think I know what I'll do. I'll watch my friends on Tottenham away review the game against Brighton. They'll be really positive and happy, right? And everyone agreed what a shit show it was, effectively, in summary. Today I've come on, right? And it's like James is saying, "Oh yeah, we've got the best defense since I don't know, 5th in the league at the moment, right?" And Ian, you're making out that Solanke's, is going to be the next Gary Lineker or whatever.
No,
I don't understand. I don't understand why we just can't be consistent about where we actually are as a team, right? And where we are as a team is a team that can beat the bottom half of the table, right? We saw that last year. We've seen that this year. And a team that consistently fails against the teams on the other end of the table, right? Certain players can play well against the lower half and certain players can't play well against the upper half. Is that the Tottenham we want to have? Or is it, or do we want a Tottenham similar to what we had under Pochettino and Redknapp and our other managers that can compete against the top?
No, of course. But what you're saying there is that I said that we had one of the best defenses. I never said that. I said, everyone said we can see too many goals. And I actually said, no, we don't, other than that game. And we've got the 3rd best defensive record or whatever it was in the league. So that's all I said. I never said we've got the best defense in the league. I said people say we
quantified. Well, when Lee said we concede too many goals, I'm pretty sure he wasn't talking specifically about the quantity of goals. He's talking about the type of goals and how they cost us the games. And he's right. If you look at the goals scored against us, they are comical. So you can't on one hand.
But I agree with that.
Statistics.
But that's why. Let me give it,
James.
The amount of mistakes that we're making, I blame on the players because the doggy has been spun 3 or 4 times this season. That's why I said we are conceding too many stupid goals, and I'll put that on the players. I don't put that on Ange because as a collectively,
well, stupidity can be a result of poor strategy and tactics, right?
It could be, but stupidity could also be the players ain't good enough in this role. So it could.
And who brought in the players?
Well, Doggy was here before, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Porro was here before.
One example, but
Romero was here before. But those are the 3 that continuously makes mistakes. Porro, Romero, and Udogie all here before.
No, right, sure, but he picks them right consistently, and he doesn't give other players a chance.
But you've just
right?
changed your argument. You've just changed. You said
No, I've not
first of all.
changed
You
it.
said first of all. You said
The reason why I've said who brought them in is most of the team is now Ange's team, right?
yeah, but the three players that are continuously making mistakes ain't. And in fairness, was linked with a right back, and we was linked with a left back during the season.
Those players, maybe with the exception of a doggy, are our best players.
Still,
Are they?
Aren't they? Porro, Romero, Vicario, aren't they our best players?
I would put Porro in there. Romero, I think, is good. I don't know about best. Vicario, I think Vicario is fantastic.
Well, he's a World Cup
hasn't been good this season,
and he's won 2 Copa Americas. Now, he might not be wanting to play for Ange, and his performances might be bad. Doesn't mean he's not one of our best players.
Again, this is where I can't argue with one of the best players, because I don't think we have very many great players in the first place.
Right, and this is why I said the point. This is the team that Ange has assembled. He had an option. He could have got rid of those players that were bought in from other managers, right? But he chose to keep them, and he's brought in other players to supplement them. And he's and the team that you're saying is poor. And what the thing that I don't agree with you with, James. I get your point, and I understand it fully. Is you went to then cite that that we had the 5th best defense in the league. That statistically that might be correct. But when you take it into context, which is what Stel was saying, and you look at the quality of the opposition and who we've actually played, and then you
Newcastle
look at
away, United away, Arsenal. They're 3 big games in the first 8. They're not crap teams.
Yeah, and we've lost against those teams.
That's the point.
You just talk. This is again. You're changing the argument. You were talking about conceding. Yeah, you are, because you're talking about conceding goals, and I said, yeah, okay. And then you went, no, but now we lost to them. I'm not saying we didn't lose to them. I'm not saying we should have beat them. We was talking about conceding goals. You said,
no,
look, and you said, look who we played. Newcastle away, United away, and Arsenal.
My point to you was that you were saying that you were pushing back on Lee, right? That we weren't conceding too many goals, and then you also said the point that we had the 5th best defense effectively in the league, right? And I'm saying when you take a look at everything in context, right, i.e. the teams that we've played, the teams we've beat, and the manner of goals that we've conceded, right, we are poor. Just because we've blown away West Ham doesn't all of a sudden change the fact that we haven't been good.
But then you need to look at your arguments as context as well, because you're telling me all of a sudden after 10 games or 8 games, Man United are not a top 10 team. Brentford are not a top 10 team. West Ham are not top 10 teams. So you're kind of putting your argument
in the bottom 10. They're not. They're in the bottom 10,
right? And
James, so let's use your argument and your way of looking at things. We have the 5th best defense in the league. Then look at the stats. No. Look at the stats. You're showing the stats.
You're right. We do. You're right, because we played the bottom 10 teams.
Yeah, right. But James, up until
why can't
Brighton,
we admit this? What is so hard? Why can't we admit that we're good against the shit teams and we're not good against the good teams? Why can't we just admit that? What are we struggling with?
Up until Brighton, we had another one day Ramos, right? Now we just beat West Ham. Everyone's like, "Yay, we're back!" Look at
hang on, man.
I disagree with that. I don't think anyone said that.
I said the same thing after we beat Man United, and then look what happened after. We're doing
no one said that we're back. No one said that we're back. We're fully aware that we've got Aston Villa coming up. We've got Man City coming up. We've got all these games coming up. I know Palace next week and so forth.
When we lose to those teams, it's things take time. Rome wasn't built in a day. It's a process.
But this is where
Angeball's amazing. Look at the stats. Solanke's cooking.
I am sensationalizing it a little bit. You're right. I am exaggerating it a little bit.
We're a wild fan base.
Listen, if we're talking about West Ham and the game in isolation, then we have to say that we did what we had to do. If we're talking like, well, in the next 3 games, then we'll listen. We'll have to deal with
Cross
when we
that
play
bridge when we
Villa,
come
when
to
we
it,
play
right?
Man City, when we play the. We have to talk about it at a time after the game happens to see if we've overcome. At the end of the day, you ain't gonna know until these tests come to your door.
That's
We
right.
have to wait. At the end of the day, so far, you guys
Iggy, I
are
know.
right.
Iggy, I know.
No, you
I've
can't
seen
say
it
you
before.
know.
I've seen it
thing is-
before.
The
I've
thing
seen
is,
it all season.
so far, you can say up until now, yes, you're right. Against the bottom 10 teams, we've got the result, and against any team that's in that top part of it, we haven't. So
But hang
far,
on, Iggy, look at the
But
positives. Sorry, hang on, look at the positives. Because this is a really negative conversation. Let's look at the positives. And first of all, let me
honest
just
conversation, Ian. Ian, it's an honest conversation.
No. But let me just say that for me, we are with the squad we've got at the moment, and comparing Spurs early doors against the other teams. To me, we're somewhere between 5th and 8th. So I don't want anybody saying, "Oh, you think we're going to win the league? We're going to do this. We're going to do that." I actually think we've got a good chance of winning the Europa League because we're level 2 at the moment, level 1, top 4, and we are part of level 2, and the Europa League is all level 2 teams. So we've got as good a chance as anybody to win that cup. But in terms of the league, there are a lot of positives to be taken. Last year, I went to virtually every game. I got sick from November onwards, seeing us as wide open as I've ever seen in all the years I've been following Spurs. We were getting battered by clubs like Fulham and Brighton. That was just ridiculous. Liverpool and Newcastle, you might expect it because they were better teams. But Fulham and Brighton beat us.
Ian,
Hang on, Wolves took 6 points off us. This year, we're not getting battered. We've got far more possession, which means we're holding on to the ball better. Because last year we were losing the ball so much. And
Ian,
Sorry.
no, sorry.
Maz, let me finish.
Can I share this with you? Can I share this with you?
We haven't been
Mourinho.
caught on the counter this season.
What Mourinho said. Do you remember Mourinho said? City controlled the ball for 90 minutes and their possession rate was 80%. They can take the ball home because I got 3 points. This is a winner, right? I don't care about possession stats. No one does when it comes down to the final result. Everyone cares about one thing. Who won? If you played ugly but won 1-0 against Man City, we will take it, right?
But you can't expect...
Ian, you were unhappy, right? You've been coming on quite a lot recently, which I love because I do like your analysis of the various topics that we discuss, right? But one thing I can't accept is inconsistencies from one game to another. Up until the Brighton game, right? Everyone was annoyed about the manager's record, and at the start of the season was almost on par with Juande Ramos's awful start. Right now, we've won one game. We've gone from famine to feast, literally from one result.
Maz, for anybody that's heard what I've had to say through this season, I have said we should have beaten Leicester. We should have beaten Newcastle. I've been very consistent on that. Dan had a pop at me and turned around and said, "Yeah, we hardly created anything." He had a point as well. But for me, we dominated those games. We should have come away from Leicester and Newcastle with 6 points.
I agree.
Those are the points that are missing.
Yeah,
those
right.
We
But
we
can go back and microanalyze games from last season. We should have done this. We should have done that. The point is we didn't, right? And then we found ourselves in the mess. Look, I'm happy that we beat West Ham. I was very pleased with the performance. I thought the first half, I think, were quite wasteful. We didn't create clear-cut chances, right? But the second half, we turned up. We did what we needed to do, and we put them away. And I'm really, really pleased with that. But for me, nothing's changed so far because we'll go against the next team. Sorry, I can't recall who we're playing next. Is it Man City?
Palace.
Well,
sorry.
Right? Palace.
Yeah, right. And you don't know what Tottenham's going to turn up. We literally don't know what Tottenham's going to turn up.
Can I back at that then?
But apparently we do.
Okay,
Because
fair
they're
enough.
in the bottom half.
But
there you go. There we go.
You say that though.
We're going to
Obviously,
batter
Brentford were top half, so that ends that we don't beat the top 10 teams. They were top 10 when we beat them, so that ends that one. And the thing is, you say you can't see anything changing. How many set pieces did we concede last season? How many have we conceded this season? For you to say I've seen nothing change, I'm sorry, that's fucking stupid because we have seen
no. You're
Hold on,
taking it in
Maz,
context.
let me just make one point which I made earlier. Yes, I have seen something change. What's changed is those games where we've been good, Brentford, West Ham, United to an extent, but that's a 10-man shit United. We looked good because they let us play our game, right? As soon as the Fulhams or someone, as soon as they click on again, actually all we need to do is put pressure on them. They're still losing the ball. We still turn the ball over. That's when these results are going to turn the other way. And I tell you, if Crystal, but no difference, Ian, because we don't control that. They do.
Right, but hang on.
Brighton turned up in the second half, put pressure on us. We lost the game. It went to fucking shit. West Ham didn't do that.
Lee, that was mentality, though. The players came out for the second half.
That's their mentality, not ours.
No.
As soon as you put pressure on us, Ian, we go down the shitter. We're absolutely we're dog shite.
Our players probably thought, but Lee, our players thought we won the last 5. We're 2-0 up here for the 6th. We're pissing this, and they didn't bother turning up. They didn't come out.
The fans get carried away. They get carried away. This is my point.
They didn't come out of that dressing room.
Because they got
even at 4-1 yesterday, I was still nervous. That should tell you all you need to know about this team.
Isn't a point of the season though to see growth, to see if anything. Listen, at the end of the day, you guys are right, man. At the moment, whenever we played a team so far that's been about 10 and above, we've lost and we've won the ones. So you guys are absolutely bang on. There's no arguing in that because the facts are backing you up so far. But isn't part of the growth in a team is to see the next challenge if we are able to overcome and start to get results, at least get results against the top half team.
And so far we failed, Iggy. We can only talk about
yeah, of course. But that's the whole point. But this is my point now. To say right now is I know what's going to happen.
I know because you keep playing Werner. He hasn't changed. Because I can see what he does.
I'm saying that I know.
Fact now, Werner won't be playing. Werner won't be starting.
I said that I know you don't foresee any growth happening between now and the end of the season in terms of beating the top 10 results. That's what
I don't see this manager.
We'll beat 2 or 3 of those.
No. That's the argument I'm trying to pose here. Is that right now is we're not allowing it to play out. We've already made up our minds to a certain fact.
I made up my mind in June when we signed Werner.
I'm talking. Yeah, let's just try and keep it. You're not going to see any changes against results wise against the top team the rest of the season. You can say it from now, and it's not going to happen.
All right. Okay. All right.
I'm saying I have to wait. I can't be like that.
I'm going to answer you. Last season, we won something like 15% of the games against the top 10. We won roughly
33% still. 6 out of 18 we won. 6 out of 18.
Ian. In the Premier League, we won roughly. In the Premier League, we won roughly 15%. Burnley and Man City were cup games. I'm talking just the league. Right?
Still,
we won
15. Still,
you're challenging me on something I haven't even said. Let me finish my point. Right? We beat 15% of the top 10 teams last season in the Premier League, and that dropped after December dramatically. If you want to add Brentford into the mix and say that they were a top 10 team we played in this season, fine. That fits into the 15% of last season. So just from that perspective, I've seen no change. Right. The next thing I'm looking for. Let me finish my point. Ian, let me please, let me just finish it. So that's the first thing I'm looking for. Have I seen change so far there? No. The next thing I was looking for, there's 3 things I was looking for. The second thing I was looking for, what we do in the summer in the transfer window. I don't even want to talk about the transfer window anymore. It was an absolute abomination what he did. Okay. So I've seen no change there to elevate us from last season. The last thing I'm looking for, when it matters, when we're under pressure, when we're buckling, what does the manager do? Can he see it and fix it? And so far, he's failed every time in those moments. So we haven't improved against the top 10. The transfer window wasn't any better than what we needed it to be. So it wasn't as good as we need it to be. And in-game management in the key moments, he hasn't changed. Those 3 things that I was waiting to see, I've seen nothing. So I know what's going to happen.
So did he not? So did he not change Maddison at halftime to win us that game? Is that not a key moment?
James, I'm talking about the big games. Against these weak teams, we'll always
Yeah, but
beat
you
them.
can't
We've got
pick
the
and
quality.
choose your argument, surely.
No, because in my opinion, my argument's consistent. It's the big games. For me, we were always going to win this. I said we were going to win 4-1. I knew it because even if he brought on another player even if he brought on Bentancur instead of Pape Sarr, even if he kept on Maddison, James, I think we still beat West Ham. I think they're that shit. We would have beaten them regardless. My opinion.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you're going to be fair, you've got to be fair. You can't say he's never changed it for the key moments to win the games.
When we're under the cosh,
let me finish. Let me finish.
At 1-1, we're not under the cosh, James. We're not under pressure. At 1-1,
but you can't say he doesn't change his players at the big moments, and then when he does do it, but he could have bought. Yeah, well, that is a big moment. 1-1's a big moment because we can see that.
It's a draw. It's not big.
But you just spoke about winning games. It doesn't matter how you do it or what. It's about winning games. 1-1. If we come out there the same way we finished at half, we could be 2-1 down. That's a big moment. Always say about managing the best managers.
I predicted we were going to win that. I knew
that's a different conversation. That's a different conversation.
No, it's not because it's not a big game when they're shit.
You predicting a score and a manager making a substitution in a big moment to win us the game is different. But what you're doing,
because I explained why I said 4-1.
But what you just said is, doesn't matter if he brought on Pape Sarr or anybody, we still would have won that game. So you're taking the credit away from him for making that sub, and then you're moaning him when he doesn't make that sub.
West Ham is shit. West Ham is shit. We were going to beat them regardless. We could have gone down to 10 men. I reckon we would have beaten them.
Then debating you is pointless because when he does it, he's stupid. They're shit. Nothing he could have done.
James,
when
you can't debate me on something that I predicted was going to happen. Because the reason I predicted it is because West Ham is shit. That's got nothing to do with Ange. And their manager never adapts. It's got nothing to do with Ange. So what am I praising Ange for? What am I praising him for? James, I predicted it because of factors nothing to do with Ange. And I was right. I was spot on.
I mean, the only thing I'd say, James, is that is literally the first time he's ever done it, right?
I agreed. I'm not denying that. But you can't say to somebody he doesn't make them changes in the big moments, and then when he does, go, yeah, but that could have been anybody, and they would have won that game.
Okay, in the one game, he's done it.
No, but what I'm saying is, there's always an excuse when Tottenham do something well. When Tottenham do something well, there's always an excuse. Like Man United, yeah, they're shit. Hold on, we've just gone away to Man United. We've just gone away to Man United to beat Man United. No, it's United.
I think
West Ham. No, West Ham is shit. Well, we did beat them. When everyone was screaming
because we've consistently said against these teams that
West Ham are 15th.
that they were poor and that we would beat them, right? Because they're poor, we've got a chance of beating them.
I completely disagree. I could just completely disagree. They're in a relegation. I've never heard in all my life they're in a relegation battle after 8 games. Does that mean we was in a league challenging season last season then?
Ramos got sacked. For the same thing.
You're changing the argument. I didn't ask you that question. I didn't ask you that question. Last season we was challenging for the league last season, yeah?
I don't understand.
You just said West Ham are in a relegation battle because they're 15th. Last season, after 10 games, we was top of the league. Does that mean last season we was in a league race, title race?
No, because because we knew that.
You just changed your argument again.
No,
I think Ange did tell us to believe.
I'm going to answer this. Spurs last season, when we were top of the league on this channel, I said we are not in a league title race. Because it's delusional to think that this team is going to beat City to a league title. It's mental. And it completely played out. The reason I'm saying West Ham in a title race is because they're a shit show and their manager is the reason that they're in that problem. And that's not going to change. So it's not just because they're 15th. It's the way they're 15th.
Explode.
So West Ham are in a relegation. I just want to know. Okay, so are West Ham in a relegation battle this season?
Right now, James, not the season. I don't know what's going to happen. They might sack the manager and it changes.
You,
Right
you
now,
do
they
know what's
are.
going to happen. You've just told us what's going to happen with Spurs.
No, you said West Ham. You said, oh, West
You,
Ham in the relegation
you
battle. I
don't know
said, right
what's
now,
going
I
to
don't
happen.
know. Huh?
I just think that I personally believe that you can move the goalposts to fit any argument
No, I've been
whatsoever.
consistent. I've been consistent with Tottenham. When we beat Man United 3-0, I came here with the same energy saying, this is overhyped. And the next game, everyone went quiet. I'm coming with the same energy, James. I'm saying it again. West Ham are shit, man. They're worse than Man United. They're finished. This manager's done. He will be the first one to get sacked. Him or the guy from, what's it called? Wolves. One of them two is going to get sacked. In my opinion. Do you think West Ham are good? Do you rate them? Do you think they were tough opposition for Spurs?
I think they've started the season poorly. Yeah, I do. But I'm different to you. After 10 games, I don't think United are not a top 10 team. I don't think West Ham are not a top 10 team. I think that they are top 10 teams. They're having a bit of a bad spell. That don't mean that they're not top 10 teams. But the way you kind of put your argument out is we don't beat any top 10 team. Well, 8 games doesn't define if you're a top 10 team or not.
This season, other than Brentford, I'll give you Brentford. Other than Brentford, we haven't. This season so far.
So what will it take? Villa, City
No,
that
but-
we've got in the next few weeks? And not even then.
So what do you think of Johnson now, Stel? Just generally just asking, what do you think of Brennan Johnson?
I think he's a bang average football player who has got a couple of goals in a row. Who yesterday, when I watched him play against West Ham, the performance I saw was the same Brennan Johnson, bang average, but he didn't score a goal. He's an average footballer that goes missing for most of the game. He'll put one half decent cross in, and he had a nice purple patch against Coventry, Ferencváros.
I must say, still,
the only game I rate him, the only game I
You ain't being straight there.
Hang on. Because I've kept quiet for 15 minutes.
None of our top 6 rivals find him, in my opinion. None of them.
Still, you're a coach, and I'm shocked to hear you talk about Johnson's performance yesterday as a coach.
You're not a coach. It's because you're not a coach.
As a coach, because as a coach will look, anybody analysing a player, I'm not a coach, I don't have the badges. But if you analyse a player, it's not just about running down the wing, it's about everything. It's about intelligence, it's about moving off the ball, it's about the work you do off the ball as well as on the ball. It's about putting players out of position. It's not just about whether he scores a goal or not, or whether he doesn't track back on 1 or 2 occasions. They have analysts who take notes of every single thing these players do. And he did nothing wrong for me.
Ian,
was okay. He was okay.
Ian, I've told you what he
okay
did
on
wrong.
Saturday.
He
never
was
bad
at
game
fault for
Saturday.
the goal. He switched off. He should have been covering Kudos in the box, and he wasn't. He switched off because no, we're not going to lose the ball in this position. He switched off. Kudos got in.
Lee,
It was not. Can't blame everything on Porro. Sorry,
tracked
go and watch the goal
forget
again.
Porro,
Go and watch the
forget
goal. He's
Porro.
standing still, flat-footed, standing still. Kudos moves in front of him, scores a goal, easy. It's job done.
track the ball from when the attack started right the way down our left side. It was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous.
We had the ball.
That should have been cleared.
They got it off of us. Yeah. No, Ian. Look, listen. I don't disagree, and I'm an advocate for the 80s and 90s way of defending. Stop trying to play it out from the back when you're 5 yards from the byline and you've got players pressuring you. When in doubt, kick it out, boot it up. Thing. We don't seem to do that, and that's what leads to a lot of mistakes, a lot of turnovers. But you can't be in your own penalty box and another player gets in front of you and you're standing still. That's you switched off.
No, I
That's
agree.
exactly what we said about Romero. It needs to be the same for all players, right? It can't be one story for one and one story for another. He did that. He should have been covering Kudos for that goal, and he didn't. End of story. He's done. And he's let him through. I still can't pick 3 other things that he did in that game that stood out in my mind. I can tell you, I can remember half the runs that Kudo made and stuff like that for West Ham, but for Johnson, for me, I couldn't think of anything that day. Not yesterday. Other days, yeah, I agree, and he's having a good run and stuff. I still think he's, as Stel said, he's average. You look at him against other people in his position, 100% they're more effective than him, and there's output and stuff like that. And great that he's scoring goals. But yesterday, nothing stood out for me about him at all.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought he could have done more yesterday in the attacking third. I do think he could have done more in that respect. But to judge somebody on purely goals and assists is so wrong. Because for me, one of the best players I ever seen, and it is like the idol in David Ginola. When you actually look back at his goal scoring record, it's not very good for Spurs. So does that mean he was at all those games he played were crap? You can't pick out one stat and go, right, no, he was crap because he didn't score. He was crap because he didn't.
Aaron Lennon scored 30 goals in over 300 games. And people go on about Lennon like he was like God knows what. There is more to players than goals and assists. I've just made a few notes about the difference between this season and last season. There's small differences, and we've only had 8 matches, so it's far too early for us to start making definitive comparisons, in my opinion, between this season and last season. They're completely different. Last season we started off like a house on fire. This year we haven't. But if you look at the games we played so far against the games that we played last season, I think we're 4 points better off already than we were playing the same games. Leicester, we are 2 down because I think whoever won the league the previous year, we won away from was it Burnley? We won.
How are we better off? We were top.
Hang on, no. Leicester, we're 2 points down. Everton, same result. Newcastle, same result. Hang on. Arsenal, same result. Brentford, same result. Brighton, same result.
What are we doing here?
Stel, he's talking about the results against the same team, so not the first 10 games.
Year on year.
Why can't you?
Because the squads are different. The teams are different. The managers are different. What are we doing here?
We know
the metrics, the variables have changed. You can't do
We're
that.
talking about differences between last season and this season. So we are 4 points better off for the 8 games that we have played. We beat United against a draw.
I can't believe we're doing this.
So 3 points, and we beaten West Ham.
How many points were we on after 8 games last season? Can we look at that? Or is that not allowed?
Hang on, but the teams are different that we played this time and last time.
Exactly. So how are you doing this comparison between teams we played last year and the same teams this year? That's my
point.
No, the actual physical teams are different. Not
like for like.
All right. I take it all back. Johnson's top. Okay. We're better. The defensive issues are fixed. Right. I take it all back.
We have improved. We have improved.
West Ham were tough. They were tough.
Still,
they were tough.
Why are you never positive about Spurs? Seriously, we are better on the following.
Now you're right. If I wasn't positive, no. I'm gonna pick you up.
Let's be positive.
Because what you said is negative. Because you're being negative now.
I'm not.
Did I not predict? No. I'm going to prove you wrong because you said something that's wrong.
Set pieces.
Ian, because you made a comment about me. I'm going to hit back at you here.
Then come back to me.
Did I predict we were going to win 4-1? Ian, did I predict we were going to win 4-1? Is that negative?
No, I'm not talking micro.
Don't say I'm always negative. That was a lie.
I'm talking generally. Still, generally, I'm talking macro, not micro.
Yeah, generally, I say it as it is. I said we're going to beat all the bottom 10 teams. Right. How positive can I be?
Hang on. We are better. So far, I have seen improvements in the set pieces. I don't think anybody can argue with that. We've let 1 goal in. One goal in since Anfield, beginning of May, from a set piece. Goals scored, we're doing well this season.
Look at this idiot. It's the way I said we're going to win 4-1. Sorry.
I
think we're going to win 4-1, guys. I really think we're going to get out of here.
Still. Hang on. Goals scored.
I like that still. Bring that still back.
Goals scored. We're on target. Carry on.
Fan base, man. Like, honestly. Right.
Goals scored are up. Goals conceded are down. We are controlling games better. And for me, there are 2 players. There are 2 players for me that are going to make a difference this season in various ways. And one is Solanke, because I think I'm not talking about funny. I think one of the guys on the other night mentioned Solanke like in a Firmino role. where you have the two wingers scoring goals as well. And I think Kulusevski's form is just
Bobby
going through,
Firmino scored 12 goals
through
that
the
season.
roof at the moment.
Bobby Firmino
So
scored goals.
there are positives to take from this season. Now I've caveated that by saying the way I see the team is where are 5th to 8th. So I don't want anybody saying, "Oh, you think we're going to win the league?" No, I don't.
Iggy, you off?
No, I don't.
mate.
But I do think.
Sorry,
if you look at it,
Iggy, do you want to say anything before we... Iggy's, we killed him. We killed Iggy. We killed Iggy. Oh, no.
I do think there have been some improvements this season against us, and we're not getting battered. We're not as wide open. We're still too wide open, and I don't like the system. And I think 3 at the back with the players we've got is where we should be. Romero and Mickey. But there are positives still. There are positives.
I never said there weren't positives. I'm saying I don't think we are better than last season. We finished 5th last season. Do you think we're going to finish higher than 5th?
Funny season. Do I think we're going to finish? Are we better than 5th? No, we're not better than 5th.
But
So what the hell are you talking about? How are we improved, man?
Because you're all,
If you
I'm
break
sorry,
last
but you're basing a whole season on what if, buts, and maybes. What if we win the Europa League?
we've had that for last year.
What if?
Okay. Do you think we're going to win a trophy?
We could
I
win the
don't know. I can't predict the future. I think we have a chance of the Europa League. I don't know what I think. I don't know.
You're having a go at my predictions, so I'm asking you, what do you predict then?
I don't predict anything. I ain't got a clue.
Okay, so don't question me because don't have these not digs, but don't then kind of say to me.
No.
You just
I'm
said to me
saying,
all I do is say negative things. Is that not a dig? What is that?
No, I want you to be more positive. There are more positives
I'm honest.
than negatives.
No, I want you to be more honest then. I'm honest.
It's not honest. It's not honest is the wrong word. Honest is the wrong word because it's an opinion.
It's
it's the wrong word. It's the wrong word because it's an opinion, because that's implying that someone's not being honest or they're lying. I could say to you, I think we're going to win the league. That's not me like not being honest. That could be my opinion. It doesn't mean it's not honest. But for me,
your honest opinion. It's your honest opinion.
Yeah, but if I said that, everyone would go, "No, you're stupid." Like it's things like that. It's for me. I don't make any predictions on Spurs. Not this year because I haven't got a clue.
Well, it's your choice, James.
No, but I agree, and I'm not saying,
so
you're. No, I am, but I'm saying what I personally think as a friend. What I think you bite on is the people that do say we're going to win this and we're going to do that. They're so stupid for saying we are going to do this. We are that's again, that is a lie because it's not an opinion. That's we are going to.
No,
it's the same for me. That is the same.
We live in a hopeful bubble, isn't it?
I bit on being called negative at everything to Ian, which I'm not, and I gave him an example of how I'm not, and I bite on people that have this massive parade of joy as if we've done something great because we beat the team that's 15th. I've just got higher standards, man.
No, but isn't that opinion though? You can't get annoyed at someone for having an opinion.
They're 15th. It's a fact. They're 15th.
No, but you're getting annoyed with somebody just getting carried away for winning away or winning at your West Ham or.
James, I'm not getting annoyed. James, I'm not being carried away because we beat West Ham 4-1. I'm actually delighted because West Ham last few years.
In the chat,
I wasn't saying you, Ian. I wasn't implying.
No. But I'm just saying that the last few years West Ham have, it's been their cup final, and and West Ham could be shit for 10 weeks, and all of a sudden they turn up against Spurs and they're well beaten.
They normally turn up against us.
They normally do, and we dominated the whole game. So I don't like the inverted fullbacks. Personally, I prefer to have Eddie Howe at Spurs, and I'm probably going to get slaughtered on here because people say, "Well, what's he won?" But I think he's a better manager than Ange. But I do think there are positives to be taken.
Really negative, you know that? That's a really negative.
The first 10 games last year, I think we can all agree, still was a bit of an anomaly, wasn't it? It was a bit of a, it wasn't a true reflection of where we were.
Ian, I called that out the way I'm calling this out.
We were, Take United, second game of the season. Rashford and Fernandes missed 2 open goals with headers. We could have been 2 down at half time. Liverpool, okay, we got away with one with the offside goal, but their first goal shouldn't have been allowed because Udogie won the ball and it wasn't a foul. But we didn't deserve to have 26 out of 30. We took the division by surprise. The way Ange plays football, it was a new style of football, wasn't it? I mean, who normally plays 2 at the back? Nobody. It's chaos. But if you look at the rest of the season from November onwards, it went downhill very quickly, didn't it? It was really poor. We were hit by injuries. Mickey and Romero only played together. In fact, that back 4 played together 9 times out of the last 27 after Chelsea, which obviously didn't help either. But I do think so if you look at how a season evolves, you can then judge a season at the end of it and just look at it and you say, we had a fantastic start. We got a few injuries. We lost momentum. We never picked it up.
What do we say now? So what do we say now then?
What do we say now? I'm saying now that I still think we're like 5th to 8th in the league, but I do see improvements on last season. And I'm going back, and I'm not talking about the first 10 games, just say from Christmas when virtually everybody was back. The form from Christmas onwards, I think we're about 12th or 13th in the league. It was appalling.
But it's a pointless argument because it's all predicting. What if we win the Europa League?
That's
James, you can only actually have an opinion on what you've seen on something that's happened. What hasn't happened is speculation.
That's what I've been talking about. I don't get it.
But I'm saying
you just being top 10 teams. I don't rate us in big moments. I'm not impressed with the transfer window. That's what I've seen so far. And I think because of that, I'm making a prediction. I don't think anything great is going to happen this season off the back of that. If my prediction is wrong, you're all going to destroy me. You'll all destroy me unfairly, and I'll sit here and take it. But so far, I'm not wowed. Ian. I don't know.
For me, it's not about this. Not about destroying people or that, but I just feel like, and I'm not. You're going
to have a bit of fun, right? That's what I mean. You can have a bit of fun.
But obviously everybody else as well with the same sort of opinion. Sometimes I feel like it's a lot easier to sort of just say, yeah, well, we should have beat United. United are rubbish. If we lost to West Ham, it would have been, yeah, another tricky game, a London derby. We haven't won a London derby. We lost again.
I predicted we'd win 4-1.
But I'm saying if we would have lost, you would have. If we would have lost, you would have gone, he hasn't won a London derby. You would have done it.
I would have said, I can't believe what's just happened. I predicted 4-1. I thought we were going to batter them. That's what I would have said because I expected to win it. Don't forget, I predicted a loss at Man United. I predicted us to lose to Man United. Don't forget. I got that wrong.
It's because you're negative.
Listen,
I just feel like sometimes, and it's not even just the negative, it is the positive fans as well. It's like, all right, yeah, we've won one game, we're going to win the league. I don't listen to those guys either because I think they're just as nut. But I think it's very easy to say, oh, we only won that because of the other team were rubbish, or we only done that because of X, Y, Z, or that only happened because of that. When if you're big enough to bash Ange, big enough to bash Johnson, you need to be big enough to give credit when credit is due.
Credit for what? He gets no credit from me. What's he done? What am I crediting for?
But you just said about making subs in big moments. If he doesn't make that sub and we lose that game...
But I've told you that wasn't a big moment. I expected us to win them, to beat them, because their
just
manager
because you expected us doesn't mean it wasn't a big moment. If he didn't do that and we conceded the next goal and then we went on to lose that game, it's about being proactive rather than reactive.
Then your big moment is different to what I view as a big moment. See, this is where I'm different to 99% of Spurs fans, completely different. For me, I am so bored of this same story, this same scenario playing out, these same games that everyone gets hyped on, which I feel nothing. That West Ham game, I feel nothing because I've experienced that. For me to really change my tune as a fan and for me to really get excited, I need to see something I've never seen before, which is to start signing some proper fucking players for this football club that take us to the next level, and to start beating those teams I never thought we'd beat. And the only person that's ever done that for me was Poch, when he beat the Real Madrids, and when he beat the Borussia Dortmunds, and he beat the Man Cities in the Champions League, and he had a brilliant record, a good record against Chelsea and Arsenal in the league, and we challenged for titles. When I see that, James, you'll see a different Stelios, a very different Stelios.
Yeah, no, I listen, and that's fair. But it's pretty soon to be making that opinion.
No, it's not, because I'm going by now, and right now I've seen nothing that says to me this guy is Poch levels.
So did you do the same thing when Poch was here the first season? Is this how you was when he was here the first season?
When Poch was here, I wasn't Levy out, I wasn't Enoch out. I got behind every manager. When Poch got
that's
sacked,
not fair, then, is it?
That's not my fault, though. That's down
But
to
that's
Levy.
also not Ange's fault.
Well, it is, because he plays Vernon instead of Mikey Moore. I've got a problem with that.
But okay. So I was gonna bring this up earlier.
He doesn't make.
Could he be saving Mikey Moore for Thursday? Could he be thinking in the back of his head, I don't want this 17-year-old lad to be playing twice a week?
Last season, we played. Some people want to come on. Last season, I remember we did a show on Tottenham away, and we had this big argument, this big debate as to why, when we were 4-1 up or 4-0 up against Newcastle, why didn't he bring on the kids? Why didn't he give the youngsters a run out? The game was done. We'd beaten them. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Newcastle went down to 10 men, or Trippier was injured and they couldn't make any more subs. They were finished. And we were arguing, why the fuck hasn't this manager brought on the kids to give them Premier League experience? Okay. All I'm doing now is exactly the same thing, but this season. 35 minutes to go. No Mikey Moore. Archie Gray comes on for 5 minutes. Not in his correct position, according to Ian. Bergvall doesn't get a look in. What's it? This is. I haven't changed from last season, James. I'm exactly the same, because I haven't seen anything different. If he brought on Mikey Moore, and if he brought on Bergvall, I would have said, "Fucking hell, that's new. He's going to give him 30 minutes in the Premier League. Go on, Ange."
Just to add to what Stelios is saying as well. This is all after a handful of these guys have been on international break or on flights. They couldn't give them 10 minutes and take somebody's off, right? Any manager with half a soul would do that.
That was prime time to bring some of those kids on. 30 minutes, 4-1 up, give them a run out.
So when you say to me, what am I praise Ange? He has done nothing for me to praise him that I haven't seen before from any other manager. If he does something different to the other managers, and for me that means you've got to match Poch. If he does that, James, believe you me when I say this, you will see a completely different Spurs fan in me. You won't even recognise me, because under Poch I was a completely different fan. But no manager's come to this club and given me anything remotely close to that. And so far, I'm sorry to say, personally, I haven't seen Ange do that yet. Not yet. Maybe you guys have.
No,
I haven't.
No, I haven't. No. But no, I haven't. But ultimately, if we're talking about like results and winning things, Ange has done exactly the same as Poch and one fucker anyway. So there's no difference.
Yeah, but Poch had us challenging for a league title, man. Poch had us doing things. Poch took it to Arsenal. He properly
Not
took
after
it
his
to
first season, he didn't.
We didn't lose at home at White Hart Lane under Poch. We never lost to Arsenal.
Not in his first season, he didn't.
But this is this is Ange's second season. This is Ange's second season.
8 games in, though. This is where I stand. It's 8 games in for me to be writing somebody off after one season, because the season hasn't even started properly. We're not even like all the way through. That for me is like, well, okay, you're writing somebody off after one season. And let's be honest, we was in such a shower of shit beforehand that for me, I think what he's done now is he's built us. He's took all the crap away, as in attitude-wise away, and he's left us on a level playing field. So now where I think we are, I think we're at a flat base. I don't think we're gonna. I mean, I don't know, but I just feel like we're on that starting base again to start to build something. If we are, yeah, I agree with you, mate. But this is what I don't blame Ange for that. I blame Levy for that. This is where I am personally.
Yeah, I disagree. I think Ange is a facilitator. Can I just say, because I've got some super chats and I want everyone else to speak. The reason I backed Conte, Tommy, is because he came in to massive shit show with a much weaker team and got us back into the Champions League in 6 months. That's why I backed Conte. He showed me something I've not seen before. In 6 months, he did that. So
but you're
maybe
you're
maybe
talking
don't.
about a different quality manager to Postecoglou in Conte. He's a different. He's
Correct.
on a different level.
Correct.
He's on a different level.
quality manager.
Conte and Mourinho were the two top managers that we have had. And I love Poch the same as you. I think the football that he played. I mean, I've been going home and away since 69, 72. I've never seen us challenge in the league. I've seen us finish third, but miles behind the great Liverpool teams, like in 85 and 91, I think, when Arsenal won it, with losing one game all season. We finished third that year as well, I think. But I've never seen Spurs up there right the way through. I mean, for 2 seasons, we scored more points than anybody else. We just couldn't put it together in one season, unfortunately. And that was down to one man, and that wasn't Poch. And that was the man at the top for me.
I'm leaving out above anything else, and I always will be. I just want to read some super chats because there's a massive backlog. JP, have you got a shoot, bro?
Yeah, I'm gonna do one. Dan, nothing personal. Michael, nothing personal. But big up, lads, and catch you soon.
Take care, man.
Cheers, JP.
Big up to them. Big up to them and big up to JP. Very quickly. So we had a couple of super chats here. A user said, this is going back a bit, we're screaming for Kulu to play in cam as he did not have legs for a winger. He was central at Juve. He's improved due to being in the correct position. I think we all agree with you there, A user. Ian says the system Ange plays exposes Pornodogi. We've said this many a time on the channel. Yeah. Soulboy says, boys, why are we not talking about how much we give the ball away? That makes us vulnerable against all teams. Yes, we do in key moments, but I don't think so much against the weaker teams, though, Soulboy. Bertie Hotspur says, Ian, can we win a trophy? Ian has actually predicted he thinks we're one of the favourites to win the Europa Cup. In his defence, he has said that on previous shows. Tommy says, if we finish 12th in the league but win the Europa League, still wouldn't say. You don't know what I would say. Stop talking out of your ass. What's wrong with you fans?
No, he's asking rhetorically, Phil. Would you? No, he's asking, would you say that? Would you say it's the best season?
He's asking a question.
He's asking a question.
Yes. He's asking it knowing that he's trying to listen. He's the same guy that told me about Conte, right? He's trying to depict me as someone that hates the club. I hate Levy and I hate managers that come here and don't change anything. And I hate fans that buy into it. That's my issue with Spurs. If Spurs win a trophy, I will be over the fucking moon. I've said on multiple shows, multiple channels, I would take getting relegated if we win the Champions League. I would take finishing 17th if we win the FA Cup. I would take that all day long. I would take trophies above everything.
If I mean, it's fucking wishful thinking. If we do win a trophy, can I come on the show after?
If we win a trophy, mate, right?
I wouldn't say this.
Would he go back to that? Would he go back to that last comment from M about me and James?
I will. I'll save it because I want Dan and Michael to speak. If we win a trophy, there's going to be a queue of people to come on this channel. But
this is why I want you to say. I want you to say right now. If we win a trophy, I am the first one on that guest list on the show after.
James, if Spurs win a trophy, you are the first guest to come on the show and say whatever you choose. However, if we don't, I want you to be the first guest as well.
100%. I haven't predicted
and Michael,
you win. 100%.
And Ian, and what 95% of I've seen you in the comments on my community page, Michael.
Honestly,
Okay.
I wanted to come in with energy, but my girlfriend is sleeping.
Come in. Listen, at the end of the day, right? All I'm going to say is this. It will take a hell of a lot for me to change the way I feel and think about things. A lot more. For most fans, they're happy with the win against whoever, and it's yay. I'm done with it, man. I don't have any energy or emotion for that anymore. I've done it for too long to see where it ends up. I need to see something that I've never seen before. Anyway, what comment was it, Ian? What time was it so I can save it for you?
That James and I are happy watching good football and not worries if we finish.
What time is it? What time is it?
No, literally, it was on your front about a minute ago.
Yeah, but tell me the time. Can you see it?
I can't see the time. If you keep scrolling
What was the name?
down,
James.
M.
Anyone
10 from
see
M.
it?
What I will say to that comment is that I've been following this team around the world since '72, and I've seen the great cup teams, great players. When we were a big club, we were breaking transfer records. So don't ever think that I'm happy just watching entertaining football and finishing between 8th and 12th. We are a big club, and these owners have cheated us for 24 years. And taken us down from possibly being an elite club with the others who have won plenty of trophies and given their fans plenty of memories. And they have denied our fans all of that, apart from the odd instance like Poch's run, being in the San Siro with Bale, winning the League Cup. There's been very little apart from that over 24 years. So don't anyone think that I'm happy watching this and finish it. Here we go. We're happy to settle for 8th and 12th as long as it's attractive football. I would want to win. If we won 38 games 1-0, I'd be happy, believe me.
And my comment to that was rewind the show about half an hour where I said I wanted Conte to stay in. Fucking idiot. Predicting things that ain't true.
Yeah. So
I disagree with everything Ian says because he called me negative. I'll forever hold it against him for the rest of my life.
Ultimately, I will never turn my back on a manager, and that's not true. I will, but first of all, you've got to change at the top before we continuously change at the bottom. It's just pointless. Otherwise, we're going to just keep going round and round and round. We'll hit a bit of gold like Pochettino, do okay, steady the ship. He'll get fired. We'll do the same thing. So for me, it doesn't matter who's the manager. You're just prolonging the problem.
Do you not think if we had a better manager who could run this team better, we could be in a better position?
I do, Dan.
No, I don't know, because we tried that with Mourinho.
If we got a better manager, you don't.
Did we not try that with Mourinho and Conte?
But I'm not talking about Mourinho and Conte. So you're saying if we got a better manager who played these players to what they're good at, that we couldn't be in 4th place or 3rd place and maybe wouldn't have lost a few last season and
100%. You could put fucking Jesus in charge of this team. They're not getting top 3 with
So if we had a better manager, we'd be doing better then.
Absolutely. I think so.
Would we?
Well, Conte with this squad, James. If you had Conte here now,
I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose.
I think defensively, you got to let me explain myself. I think defensively, and I think we would win more games, yes. But I don't care who you are. With the attackers that we got, they're not good enough to be competing at the top of the table. So if you're not winning, you're losing. So we're going to be in the same position. We've had the best managers in. They've all fouled under this ownership. All of them. So what difference does it make?
Dan's not saying...
Hold on.
Dan's saying, will we be in a better position? Will we have won more games? Will we have accrued more points with a Conte or a Jose or a Poch with this squad of players?
We may win more games or have more points, but we're still going to win fuck all. We're not going to win anything. We're going to be in the same position.
James, that's not what Dan asked. He asked, do you think we'd be better placed?
Potentially, yeah, of course. We could be. But ultimately, we have tried with the best managers around and never done anything.
I have to...
hold on.
I have to go on the road. No, I'm just saying, I got to go. But I just wanted to say, if people ever say that this show is an echo chamber, they are totally wrong. I'm enjoying this show. I love it. I'm loving it, man. James, Ian, Stell, Lee, Maz. Oh man, you guys just came in. I'm just loving it. I'm like, yes, this is it. So I just wanted to say I gotta get on the road, but I'm just enjoying the show, guys.
Big up to Mari.
Drive safe, Mari.
I'm glad he said that, because I'm actually going to take I'm going to copy the link, and every time someone calls this show an echo chamber, I'll just say, "Watch this and shut up, please. Thank you." Yeah, Lee, you wanted to speak. Go for it.
No, I'm stamping and boom, it just clips.
Yeah, then bang.
Just to follow on, James, from what they were saying, right? I think you can agree, and I said this from day one. The issue with Conte was not Conte; it was Levy, right? If you want a manager of his ilk to win something at your club, you need to give him the tools. You don't ask him to knock up a shed and give him a rubber mallet or a fucking plastic screwdriver, right? It just doesn't work for that type of manager. But I think what we're trying to say is, and what we're in sort of agreement with, is that if you took this team, which we agree, the players are of a better standard than what Conte had, then the fact that he managed to get fourth, do you not think that with these players in his system playing, I don't know, a 3-5-2 or whatever you want to do you not think he would have potentially been able to take this team and make it better than a top 4 team with what he managed to do with the shit that he had?
Of course. The only thing I would say is it's a completely different period. We don't have Harry Kane anymore. Let's face it, Son isn't what he was 3 years ago. So it is a different scenario. Am I comparing Ange to Conte and Mourinho? Absolutely not. They're levels above Ange, miles and miles above Ange. But it's not fair to say that they would do this, because they were here. The same situation happened under Conte and Mourinho. Didn't Mourinho?
They've done better with a much worse team.
Well, we finished 5th last season. What did Mourinho get in his first season? Was it 8th or something? Wasn't it? And then second season,
I think no.
Mourinho when he got to a cup and then got the sack.
Yeah, but this was the second season, right? So I think first season of Mourinho was 5th, and because we are in the Europa League, right? And then we got knocked out by Dynamo Zagreb next season, right? And and the cup final was the second season.
I'm not saying that he's on this pedestal above any of those, but it's been the same story year after year after year. He wanted Ruben Diaz and he got fucking Lenglet and Rodon. And all last season for me was complaining about the front three, and we've re-signed Timo Werner.
There's only Ange to blame for that.
No, he doesn't. So
total bollocks.
We've seen that go. I'm sorry.
That is down to Ange.
Guys,
okay.
No, because Levy is not going to say, bring me in 165 grand a week loan player to sit on the bench because I want him there. Then it totally goes against Archie Gray and everything else. It's totally contradicting.
I personally think Werner was Ange's signing.
100%.
I don't.
Yeah, but by the way, because I wanted to say something, right? First of all, Dan, you positive bastard, spam me. Because after Everton, we did predictions for game X 3-8, and only me and you predicted more than 4 points. So, we are the positive ones here, right? Let's establish that. I'm not talking about you, Ian, and James. I don't think you were part of that show, right? But banter aside, honestly, yes, then I was a bit vexed in the comments. I will admit that. I wanted to come in with a bit of energy, but I won't. I don't think, honestly, the reason why I was a bit vexed listening yesterday and today is whether we rate West Ham or not, we won 4-1, and I kind of have a feeling we are looking for holes where there aren't many. In my opinion, I have a feeling that there is this notion. No, but we are still right with criticizing.
Why do you think I predicted why did I predict a 4-1 win, Michael? Why did I?
No. I'm not talking about the prediction. I'm talking about aftermath of a match. Right, we win 4-1, and I listened to the show yesterday, right? And I'm hearing Vakari is bank average, Poro is bank average, Udogi is bank average, this guy is shit, that guy is shit. We are not performing well, right?
I never said any of that. I never said that.
But I mean, the show said it, right? I don't want to call out names, right? But I can say Sava said Vicario is bank average, right? If you want to, I don't mean to call out in terms of like highlighting, oh, listen, this guy is negative, we should all like, crash it on him, right? But I just have a feeling that the reason why there is like so much negativity around some of the comments or some of the like posts that you do on the socials, right, is because people like have I don't know how to word it, but I think people like get it from you that we win and then you say Solanke is not doing anything, right? And then just saying Johnson is shit and this guy is average and criticizing this, criticizing that, right? I think like we should be more balanced. And Sava, I appreciate your opinion, right? Because he responded to me. I don't think Vicario is bang average. Bang average is 10th or 12th in terms of when you look at like, how good he is compared to other keepers. I don't think he's that bad, right? So I think it's going a bit overboard on his performance. I appreciate if you think otherwise, right? And I appreciate still if you think otherwise, you said about the standards, right? And I'm not saying we are winning the league. I'm not saying we are, a brilliant team. I just have a feeling we as a fan base in general tend to polarize ourselves, and we either go to like the ultra positive part of fan base, which you rightfully criticize. And I don't think beating West Ham is anything like special out of the ordinary, right? But I also don't think when we beat West Ham 4-1, we should be criticizing as much and not highlighting the good things that happened during the game, if you get what I mean. I just don't think the no. Am I chatting shit? Because like we won 4-1, and all I heard today was you guys going at each other for
You basically want me to
you telling Ian that he's chatting shit, right? Because we won 4-1 against West Ham and it's nothing, right?
You want me to be Henry Wright doing videos like Arsenal got robbed?
No. I said I want to be balanced, right? And for me, being balanced is appreciating where your team is doing well and actually did something proper, right? Because last time we had a similar performance against West Ham and we lost, right? Last season we had a similar performance against them and we lost. This time we won 4-1, right? So,
Michael, I don't think the richest club in this country, I don't think one of the top six teams, and I don't think a club that spent £400 million in one season should be at all wowed by beating a team in 15th who are on their knees right now. I don't look at that and think anything wow. I totally expect us to dominate and batter them.
That's why I said it's not anything out of the ordinary, right? It's not anything special. But
that's why I'm not praising it.
But you are not praising it all, right?
Because I expect it.
I mean, but you can also appreciate the good performance, right? You can also say that we did well, right? Because the reason why I brought up the predictions after Everton was because I was the only one who said we are going to beat West Ham, right? At that point. So you didn't expect us to beat West Ham at that point, right? I know with how the season went on, you changed your view.
I did expect us to beat West Ham. I understand. I did expect us to beat West Ham. I did. I said it.
No, I'm saying after we beat Everton, right?
Yeah.
We had a panel of 8 and 7, I think 6 people predicted we will lose to West Ham. One person predicted we will draw, and I was the only one that said we will win, right? And it's not, I'm not trying like to pump my own horn or whatever, right? I'm just saying that we were all debating whether Ange should be sacked at that point, right? And I'm not saying we are this out. Again, I don't want this to sound that we are going, all the way to one, like polar, right? I'm not trying to sound like, or at least my intention is not to say that we are brilliant, we are out of this world, etc., right? But I think we can appreciate that we are doing better than what we thought will happen at the beginning, right, of the season. Before we played Newcastle, we played Leicester.
I said we're going to finish anywhere between 5th and 8th, and that's where we are now. This is exactly what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, but you predicted 4 points from upcoming 18, right?
No, I predict.
So
No,
we are doing better than what we thought.
Maz.
No,
predicted 4.
no. I and
Nope.
Dan were the only one who said 7-8 points from 18.
I said we get 1 win, and I think 2 or 3
And
draws.
a draw.
Like that.
You said we will win against Brentford and draw against, I think it was United.
I was wrong.
I can go back and watch it, right? But my point is that.
But hold on, 1 minute, Michael. What I said then.
Overall, do you get what I'm getting at, right? I think
yes and no.
Yeah.
If you're going to go by what I said then, then you've got a very strong point, a really strong point. But I've now had time to analyze the opposition better, to rejig some of my decisions, which is why I said we're going to smash West Ham, right? It's why I said I thought we were going to beat Brighton, by the way. I got that wrong. I thought we were going to beat them because of their high line. But their manager tactically outdid Ange and exposed Ange for what he is. So there will be games where, you're going to readjust because of either injuries or the momentum or what you're seeing the opposition do. But for me, I'm not going to praise Spurs for beating any of the bottom 10 because I expect us to beat the lot of them. Honestly, and I think we will.
So did you praise us for beating Brentford?
Yeah, I did. I did. I actually said that's the one game where Brennan Johnson, his goal, I thought was superb. Go back. I said it was a superb goal. He beat the man, which I never see him do. And the finish was Harry Kane-esque. It was a brilliant. I praised him for that goal. That game.
Are you comparing Johnson to Harry Kane?
The finish was superb, man. Listen, I can be honest, you know. Listen, I'll say it. It was a quality finish. But I also said Brentford were missing their second best forward player. Is it Wissa? Wissa got in.
Wissa, they had injuries in the backline, right?
And I said, do you know what? I'm not surprised we beat them now when you look at it. So, look, if we beat Chelsea, if we beat Villa, if we beat City, or at least draw against these teams, at least draw, I will say to you all, that is impressive because I did not see it coming. Right. I don't expect us to do that. But if we don't, I want you all to be here with this energy you bring because there's plenty we're going to talk about.
But you did say this about Brennan Johnson, and now you've changed your mind on Brennan Johnson. You still say
no. I still think he's shit. I still think he's shit.
But you did say if we see what he does against United and Brentford, United and Brighton, and I'll change my opinion. And he done both, and you're still saying the same thing.
Okay.
Because I look at his overall play, and I'm not impressed.
You're flip-flopping.
I don't think I'm bringing
a little bit. I am.
I'm trying to be like.
I just don't rate him. I don't think he's a good player. I don't. Sorry.
Johnson's done his job, hasn't he? He scored a few goals and that, but what does he do when he scores a few goals? He usually goes missing after that anyway, which he'd done in about 3 of those 6 games anyway. He's just that player that pops it in the back of the net, or does a good pass and then does a ghost most of the game. But he wasn't scoring at all, giving credit where it's due for the amount of pressure he had on him. I still won't say he's a good player. Bang average.
I do agree. I have seen a difference in him. I mean, say for example the weekend where that volley, where he hit that volley, he wouldn't have done that 6 weeks ago. So I have seen him more. I don't think he would have. I think he would have touched it and miscontrolled the ball.
But the thing is, that's the problem with a few players that you can have a rant about. Confidence players. A great player, a good player, doesn't have to have the confidence on them. They can do it, and they know they can. They can go and miss 6 shots of an open goal and then not be bothered, and that 7th one goes in. Johnson, you can just tell he's going to miss 2 chances and fall to the floor again. And then he's going to need all the pressure on him, all the cuddling off the other side to get back off his feet again.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's a fantastic player either. I do kind of agree with you. I just think that credit where credit is due, isn't it? That's all I say.
Yeah, that's what I've said about him.
If he plays this crap all the time and then scores every other game for the rest of the season, then for me, he's done his job.
Credit where credit's due. He's being paid to be an attacking player, and he scores some goals, and we're overhyping him. He's an
I
average
wouldn't
player,
say it's
guys.
overhyping him. Oh, he's very average.
There are people out there that are overhyping him. He's still an average player, and I expect him to score goals. We expect him to, contribute 10 goals a season, 10 to 12 goals a season as a forward player. And he's on his way to doing it. Well done to him. But he's still, when I watch him, he's still a really boring person to watch playing football. As simple as that. He doesn't get me out of his seat.
This is where I'm saying it's a very tricky kind of conversation, because even 15 goal GA in his first season under a new manager, a new club, that's not terrible. But that's what he did last.
It's not.
That's
Do
what
you think we've also been spoilt, Lee? Do you think we've also been spoilt over the years? We've had Bale, we've had Ginola, we've had Waddle. We've had some
No, Ian, I agree. But I'm also
great
spoiled.
players.
I'm also spoiled by watching West Ham for the first 20 minutes with a player that was running around our people making us look stupid. He's the only one that turned up. He turned up for West Ham in the first half, although there was no output at the end of it, and scored a goal. And then he lost his head. But he was still one of the better players on the pitch.
Yeah,
he shouldn't be at West Ham. Let's just say that. He shouldn't be at West Ham. Let's just say that.
But
I would love a player like that.
Two players, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when one of them doesn't turn up, Bowen did two, as you said, Ian. He did two things. After that, he didn't. I don't remember him doing much of anything really.
You know who the biggest disappointment? I mean, I wasn't complaining, but the biggest disappointment was Pochettino. Was even on the pitch. He was horrendous.
I think he had a good 10 minutes at the beginning of the game.
It was crap.
But you didn't hear him after that. He had a
Trying a
10-minute
lot,
spurt. That was about it.
You know, for top international player.
The best players for me for West Ham were Wan-Bissaka, Jared Bowen, and Mohamed Kudus. Those three stood out. The rest, whatever. We've got a super chat here from Faz who says, "What teams qualify as big clubs to beat? Define, please." First of all, you are one of the most horrendous people in the comments on our community, always slagging us off, and it's with reluctance that I have to answer this because you've paid money. But the top teams we have to beat are Ipswich, Nottingham Forest, Sheffield United and Bournemouth. If you can't answer that yourself, I don't know what to say. Who do you think are the big clubs, man? Like, come on, you're trying to troll me because that's what he does in the comments on the community page.
If I can, I think he's trying to get whether whether United and West Ham, for example, right, are part of the big teams we have to beat, right? Because technically last season they were in the top 10, right? But this season they aren't, which I completely appreciate, by the way, right? I understand that based on form they are crap, right? I've said it myself. I've said United are crap. I said West Ham are crap, right? And by the way, because sorry, I have to respond, but Saba called me out for having low standards, right, in the chat, right? Saba, that's why I tried to carefully say that I'm not expecting you or anyone else to have a wank fest over beating West Ham, right? I don't want you to sit here and say that we are fucking brilliant, world class. We are going to slap Real Madrid because we beat West Ham, right? That's not what I expect. Sorry, maybe that's like language barrier or something, right? I find better words to describe what I mean. But I just tried to like politely say that when you queue into those shows, right, and we beat West Ham 4-1 and you don't hear anything good about the performance, right? I know it's a shit team, right? But we, Tottenham Hotspur, know everything about losing to shit teams, right?
It's a London
derby.
That's true. That's true. We know all about losing to the
I
shit
just
team.
think when we analyze the game, we should also not focus, not like wank over, everything positive, right? But I think there are things that we should mention, right? And I think both Ian and James tried to do it today, right? By highlighting the set pieces that we don't concede, right? By highlighting the fact that we don't concede chances from counter-attacks like we did last season, right? I know it's only 8 games. I know it's a small sample size, right? And by the way, I'm responding mostly to Sabas there, so like I'm not trying like to call out or anything, right? But
mate, you could say what you say, but Faz Radar, the Totti Spurs, these Paul Deans, all these characters. Listen, they all come on our community page, disagree with everything we say, stir it up, hate on us, and then they come in, they want respect. There is no respect. I'm sorry. And there's one other thing I'm going to say because I'm on the warpath now. This
and that was my point, by the way. If you can, like 10:56 p.m.
I'll bring it up
and
because
set
I
it,
want to cover this one.
Oh,
He says Man City didn't beat West Ham 4-1, and their fan base gave them credit for the winning performance when they beat them 3-1. They didn't say West Ham are trash anyway. Still is being extreme. Number one, I never said that Spurs are trash. Number two, don't ever compare us to a team that wins trebles, trophies every year, dominates the league, and shits on the whole of Europe. Don't ever compare us to that and then have the audacity to call me extreme. We are not even close to the league that they operate in, man. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely bonkers. And plus, I don't care what Man City fans think. They're in paradise. We are nowhere near that. We're not even close.
The fact that it's a derby against West Ham is a good thing. Quality result, but you've also got to look on both sides of it. I mean, like I've said before, like Alex Ferguson said in his autobiography, even when they lost the game 5-1, he gave them more of a bollocking for the goal they conceded than the 5 goals they scored. Because the way you improve, you have to look at the problems. And a lot of people just don't, they want to put the problems aside. But you could look at that game against West Ham. Yeah, there was a bit of negative with it, but there was also a lot more positive with it.
I actually think, we've got Villa and City in November, and then we've got Chelsea and Liverpool in December. And I think this time, in 2 months' time, literally to the day, I think Liverpool 22nd of December, by the time we come off the pitch at 6:30 on that Sunday, I think we'll have a much better idea of how we have progressed or not as a team this season, and where we think we're going to finish come May. Because we'll be 18 out of the 38 games. We'll have an idea.
I've got to shoot, guys. I've got to shoot. The only thing I would say though is if you're going to criticize, you've got to praise as well. You can't just continuously be negative the whole time. You've got to give some credit where credit is due, and you've got to be negative where negative is deserved.
Absolutely. We're all fans. We all want Spurs to win. Let's be happy when we win. Doesn't mean we're going to
beat Arsenal, beat Newcastle, beat Chelsea, beat Man City, beat Liverpool, beat teams to make me be positive.
I agree. I agree. But if we played fucking Bristol Rovers, I'd still be happy because you won. Why would you not be happy?
Yeah, but still, you also don't have to whack yourself with a stick if we beat West Ham, right? I think that's a point, right?
Right. Take care, guys. Thank you, sir.
Take care, James.
Big up, mate.
Again, that's
James,
why
by the
I
way, you're never
try
allowed.
to say, right?
James is banned from the channel. By the way, he's back.
I will soon be too, right? Considering what I say today, but I think what Ian said, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ian, right? I like as a fan, we all support this team, right? So if the team wins, there is, for me, no reason not to be happy, right? So if someone is happy, I'm not saying about overly happy,
Michael,
making ridiculous statements, right?
But the ridiculous statements are coming from the other side. Look at this, right?
Yeah,
this is the biggest.
I know. That's why I also criticized the other side. I said there is
the biggest Spurs fan channel, right? The biggest Spurs fan channel. Kulusevski is becoming the best midfielder in the league. Are we doing this?
Yeah,
are we doing
this?
That's
why I also called out this side. That's why I also called out that we, as a fan base, generally our fan base has a tendency to polarize itself. We never strike balance in our opinions. It's either what you just highlighted, which is Kulusevski is the best midfielder in the league, which is fucking bullshit, right? That's a bullshit opinion. I think he's performing good, right?
Yeah, this is why I say these.
But I also don't see a point of shutting down anyone who says, "Hey, I'm happy that we won against West Ham. You have fucking low standards. You don't know what winning is."
I've never said that to anyone who's happy. I've said it to people that say Solanke is the GOAT, Kulusevski is the best midfielder, suddenly Brennan Johnson's Messi. It's those comments. We're going to win the league.
But I don't think Ian and James were making those comments today, and you still said about standards and this and that, right? So
that's because Ian said I'm negative about everything.
No, I think
you did say that.
No, still, you've got For me personally, you should be more. We've won a game, for Christ's sake, and we're trying to pick holes
That's
in
not
every
what you
little thing. Enjoy the win, Christ. You know, we're fans. Enjoy it. We're all pissed off when we lose. We're not happy when we draw. At least be happy when we win. And to go and beat that lot 4-1, terrific.
Do I look sad? Do I
So
look
to
sad?
be happy, does that mean
Still, it's a big London derby, and we beat them 4-1. And it doesn't matter if their team is shit this season. We done West Ham 4-1. I don't care about the rest.
So does that mean you have to ignore the problems now? Do you ignore the problems?
No.
Who's ignoring problems, man? I'm being a fan.
Saying about
And for a
ignoring
few
the problems.
days,
Okay.
hang on.
So
And
if
for a
you're
few
dri-
days, I am enjoying the win. Thursday
Okay,
was
so
not.
if you're driving around the M25, but you know your fan belt's going, but it drives around there twice really well, are you going to ignore your fan belt because it done it twice, or are you going to point it out and get it fixed?
Do you know what, Dan? I'm going to enjoy the wins, because if you start analysing and you start trying to pick faults, even when you've won 4-1, where's the enjoyment?
Dan,
Seriously,
Ian,
well,
this is the difference.
fantastic. But you know, I'm going to bring myself right down, and I'm going to find a criticism here.
I'm not
and a
down.
criticism
I'm
there.
not down. I'm not down.
I'm talking about me still. I'm just saying that
But you call me negative all the time. So that's what
we
I'm
should
saying.
be more. The positivity should be way over the 50% after West Ham. Doesn't matter that they're shit.
Of course they should.
You know they're shit.
But you still got to pick out the problems.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we don't
pick out the
improve.
problems we pick out the problems when we lose. Let's just be happy for once. For a few days.
Okay. But you've got to look on both sides, like what was said earlier. There was more positive to the game.
That was my point, and I think we neglected the positive side. That's how I felt after this game, right? That when I sat here today watching, right, I felt like it was quickly brushed over that we did well, and then we went into saying that pointing out the negative things. Listen, that's just my opinion. I appreciate if you don't agree with me, right? But that's at least how
it's each their own. But for me, anyone who sits there and says you just enjoy the win and ignore it, then you're saying Alex Ferguson's a shit manager.
I didn't say that at all.
You just said enjoy it and forget about everything. Yeah,
but
and what did he used to say? You've got to pick out the bad points as well to improve.
Dan, is there anybody on earth who's perfect?
Apart from me, no.
Ian, this is the difference. Ian, last week when we were doing our predictions for the game, you said 2-1.
3-2, I said, didn't I?
3-2, 2-1. You said we'll just beat them by a goal. So you went into that game with a very narrow expectation of glory, very narrow, which is why you're celebrating it the way you are, and you're telling me to celebrate like you. But I went into the game with a different mindset. I was the only one on the panel that said, we are going to smash them. They are fucking shit. I was the only one. And that's what happened. So for me, what I expected happened. Therefore, I'm not wow. I'm like, I kind of thought that. Whereas for you, it was beyond your expectations. So for you, it's like, this is great. Because you came into it from a different perspective. I came in for it from a perspective of they're so bad. That's why you are like that, and I'm like this. So I can't be like you because your expectation was different to mine.
The other point also still is that there's 6 of us that have grown up for the last 50 years. There's 4 Spurs, 2 West Ham. One of the West Ham is very quiet and calm. He sat between 2 of the boys on Saturday. I felt for him Saturday afternoon. The other one, my pal Tony, lives in Florida, was giving it large. I'm on the way home from Brighton, and he's giving it big time. And I kept my mouth shut, and I waited, and I gave it to him Sunday and today as well, just sending him all the memes, Tottenham get battered, songs going through, and he's like, I don't worry, I haven't got a short memory, etc., etc. And I turned around and said, you give it large, you got to take it. And, so that there's a rivalry within my close crowd that's with Spurs and West Ham. So for me, this was a real buzz. There was banter with my best pals. So I've had a good weekend, and Arsenal and Chelsea have lost, and Merson's gone out strictly.
Yeah.
So
I said it was a quality result as well.
It's been great. And, we can always pick holes because nobody's perfect.
Well, tell you what, is this picking a hole then? Is this picking a hole? 4-1, brilliant. good in a lot of ways. But if I now turn around and say, yeah, but look at the other side, Udogie got cooked exactly the same way he did in the last time. And am I now just being negative? Or do I just ignore that and be happy that we won 4-1?
No, I think if you make 5 or 6 comments on the positives and you make one on the negative, then that's balanced.
I mean,
Guys,
technically, to nitpick that was
for that match,
right?
then. For the match.
Okay,
I get the point.
But my point is, you still got to bring up what went wrong.
Yeah.
And you've also got to say that Kudos absolutely cooked us in every which way until he got sent off, and people denied it.
I don't know. To me, he didn't look outstanding. He had his moments, but he didn't look like Mitoma did at Brighton in that second half.
He looks
That's
flashy
only
with
because-
no output apart from the goal.
Sorry, he didn't look.
Guys, what? Really? Kudus was brilliant. The difference is that Brighton converted chances to win the game that elevated Mitoma. If West Ham won that game, we'd be saying Kudus was man of the match, but they didn't because they're shit. Kudus, for me, was the best dribbler on the pitch. We couldn't get the ball off of him. He ran us ragged in that midfield. The amount of fouls he won because we couldn't tackle him. I think Kudus at Spurs becomes our best player. I think Kudus at Spurs becomes our best player. I think he's a top player. For me, he stood out head and shoulders above the rest in terms of.
He's exactly what we should have in
footballer.
Johnson. That's the kind of player we should have on the right or the left.
Or Werner. Or Odegaard.
Yeah, I'd take him over Werner before Johnson, 100%. But
Exactly, but I would take Mikey Moore over Werner starting every single game.
I'm with you there. I really am. I don't care how old he is. It's got to be better than that.
Can we talk about Kulu, guys? Right? Forget 2.5 hours in. I wanted to bring up Kulu, right? Yeah.
I've
Mike,
booked tomorrow off work,
something
just
up.
in case you're wondering, right?
The reason I want to bring him up, right, is because there's been a lot of hype on him, and everyone's saying he's brilliant, this and that. Now, Ben and Sim did a show, and in that show they said Kulusevski's becoming, not he is, he's becoming the best midfielder in the league. And they based it off that tweet you can see in the video. And here's the tweet, I went and found it. It's from the Data MB. And in that tweet, it says, the number one most key passes in Europe, the most progressive runs in Europe, the most accelerations in Europe, the most deep completions in Europe, the most dribbles per 90, the most offensive duels per 90. That all sounds great. And then there's this little chart that shows Kulusevski miles ahead of the rest. And this chart basically shows key passes per 90 minutes and progressive runs per 90 combined. And Kulu is head and shoulders above everyone. That's what they've based it off that tweet. But here's the thing. This is where I've got a bit of a problem. Now, that same...
Here comes the negativity.
Actually, it's not from me. This is just... I'm sharing with you the facts because
I'll
not
take it
all the
back.
facts...
I'm sorry, Sel. I'm sorry. I will not come on next week.
Right.
Thanks.
This everyone's banned. This same site, Data MB, also put this on the same day. Under Arne Slot, Ryan Gravenberch has become the best midfielder in the Premier League. 92nd percentile progressive carries, blah, 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 and on and on. The same shit. And then it shows a list of the highest performing midfielders. I don't see Kulusevski there. That's the top 15. Kulusevski's not there. In fact, the only Spurs player in there is James Maddison. And when you look at this chart from the same source, Data MB, Maddison is fourth. No other Spurs player in that list. So Kulusevski doesn't even come top 15, but yet he's becoming the best midfielder in the league because of this one graph. Now, look,
even Harry Winks is on there.
Break all the data, but when we've got fans saying that Kulu's becoming the best off the back of this source, but the same source is also posting this out, and Kulu's not in there. Are we cherry picking here the stats to boost Kulu as opposed to looking at all the metrics for a midfielder to get a better picture? And also, if we are going to go by this, the people that criticize Maddison, they need to rein it in because according to this, he's the fourth best performing midfielder in the league, levels above Kulu at the moment. Guys, are we getting carried away with Kulu?
Yes.
I'll give you my take on Kulu. I've only seen the games. I've hardly seen match of the day this season. I've just seen the matches. I missed the first half with Arsenal. I couldn't watch that. But apart from that, I've seen all Spurs games. So I can only talk about.
Start ban that ugly Gazzer. So sorry,
Yeah.
he's being really fucking stupid to Sava.
Ugly
It's
Guzzler, yeah.
Where
He's out.
11.
He's out.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've done it.
I can only talk about. I can only talk about the players that I've seen personally this season, and what have I watched? 11 games. That's all we played 11 games, haven't we? So it's a small window. I think that it's difficult. You know, when you look at we followed the club for many years. And we all know that seasons can start off slow. Players improve. Players can go backwards. Look at last season, which went off like a house on fire and fizzled out. So it's interesting. I'm looking forward over the season to seeing how certain players come through. And for me, I think since he was the best player pre-season, Kulusevski, I watched all the games that we played pre-season. It's only pre-season. It's not Premier League. But you make an assessment on what you see, and Kulu, during those games, out of our players, in my opinion, was our best player. This season, for us, first few games up and down. Last few games, I think he's been absolutely superb. And he's getting back to the form. For me, he was terrific in that first few months under Conte. Absolutely terrific. Last year, if you'd have said to me at the end of last season, we're going to sell Kulu, I wouldn't have been upset. I thought it was really poor last year. This year,
people said it.
Yeah, I think this year, Dan, I think the last few games, I think he's really coming into his own.
Yeah, but Ian, I think it's more on what I said the other night. People are bigging him up that much, too much, even though he has been very, very good. Don't get me wrong, yeah? But because he looks so much better in the middle than what he did on the right, he's getting bigged up even more. And everybody's noticing it. Like, fucking hell, he's double the player he was now.
There is something there, right? Because on the week,
the other thing also,
and now people are noticing that. Where people are noticing he's practically double the player in the middle to what he was. It's a massive jump in a player for how well he's playing now to who he was. But then being Spurs is what we are, and all of a sudden we're, instead of just saying, wow, he's proper improved in the middle, next thing you know, he's the best thing since sliced bread. So, and that's down to a T.
I wouldn't say he's the best thing since sliced bread. What I will say is that his work rate, his engine is phenomenal, just phenomenal. And he is there, to me, he doesn't hide. He was probably the best. He was the best of a bad bunch at Brighton the second half. And up to now, I'm excited to see how him and Solanke are going to fit into the team in those two positions, because those are the two positions that have basically changed from last season. And for me, that has been an improvement. Last year, midfield for me was poor. I thought the back four, my feelings, Porro and Udogie were played out of position, played way up the pitch, left with loads of space. Romero and Van der Ven it was unfair on them. Nothing much, bits and pieces have changed. But as I've said, let's see in 2 months' time, after we play Villa, City, Liverpool and Chelsea, plus the other games, against the lesser teams that we've got, like Southampton, Ipswich. Let's see. Be interesting to come back in 2 months' time, the day after the Liverpool game, and have a review of the first half season and see how the players have come on or not.
After that game with Brighton, which I don't, even the ones who love Ange off to the most, even they have got to say that second half was some of the worst man management I've ever seen in football. Ever. It
was on a par, Dan, with Fulham last year, where he waited till we were 3-0 down before making.
The same with Everton, but I think this one just topped it. The fact that we was 2-0 up at the time, and he had to save his arse against West Ham, because if he'd have lost that, there'd have been a massive turn. Do you think this 4-1 win over West Ham is just wallpaper over a crack on the wall? or do you think we're actually going to progress now? Is Ange?
I think West Ham are a
actually
shit football team who's about to lose their manager.
If you want me to be positive,
has Ange actually seen the light now? Yeah, because in other games it's looking like Brighton second half he does nothing, but then he makes a sub at 45 minutes here, and his subs went right. But then we just don't know if he's actually seen the light or not, because he's so inconsistent in what he does actually do. I don't think anybody knows what's coming or going most of the time.
The other thing also, Dan, is that if you spin the positive, and because we lost so badly after being 2-0 up, we played very well first half. We've had one really bad 45 minutes all season, for me.
I would say 45
where we've been
minutes
shocking.
Leicester,
We've been
was-
absolutely shocking in the league. Arsenal was neither
against Leicester. Second half against Leicester, we were shit.
Yeah,
First
Newcastle
55,
second half
I
we
think we
weren't
were-
good.
I think we were very good first 55.
If what's his face
against,
never got injured, I think.
I tell you
Regarding
one thing that's
Kulusevski,
got proven.
Yeah,
we
can
only
I say
had-
something on Kulusevski too?
Yeah,
we only had 55% possession. Yeah. So I think that just about tells everyone that dominating the ball for 75 minutes don't mean jack shit.
No, it's all about goals, Dan. That's the only thing that counts.
Exactly. But as all I keep seeing off a majority of people is, yes, but we dominated the game because we had 75% possession. That is
Dan,
a game that
did you
proves
see-
it's not all down to that.
Did you see the image I put up earlier? Right. This is what our fans said. Our fan base posted this. 2020, a journalist asked Mourinho, City controlled the ball for 90 minutes and the possession rate was more than 80%. This is when we beat them 2-0. Mourinho said they can take the ball home with them. I took the 3 points.
Yep.
I'll do you one better than that still with Mourinho. The year he won the Champions League with Inter Milan, and it's a shame Iggy's not on because he'll remember this, they went to Barcelona with a 1-goal lead in the semi-final. And Barcelona battered them and couldn't beat them.
I watched the game in as my second team. That season he had with Inter Milan was absolutely unbelievable because he didn't have the greatest team either.
They won the lot, didn't they? They won.
By the way,
they won the treble.
by the way,
yeah,
I just want to make it clear: we're not saying we want to play Mourinho ball. What we're saying is possession means nothing unless you win the game. It's the points that matter more.
I personally think one of our better performances was against Brentford, that we had less possession than them in that game. We had like 46% or something like that, which was really surprising, right? But I also wanted to answer your question about Kulusevski, and I think Saba put it like the best in one of his comments where he said like form and class are different things, right? And to put it even like a greater example, in my opinion, right? Ever since Cole Palmer started playing for Chelsea, I think form-wise, he's been the best midfielder in the league, right? But is he a better player than KDB, for example, right? Than Kevin De Bruyne? For me, not really, right? I know Kevin De Bruyne is getting on with it in terms of like age for a footballer and he's getting injured, right? But I think Kevin De Bruyne is a better player. And I think something similar starts happening with Kulusevski, where I think people are seeing good performances and looking for stats to back that up, right? And then all of this like stuff about this many tackles, this many pressures, this many, like one of the stats you pointed out
Most throw-ins,
was accelerations,
most successful throw-ins, and
like accelerations. Fuck's sake, which means
Quickest
he's
at
like
tiny
going from
shoelaces.
slow to quick, often. Like that's just looking for stats, right? But I want to say that I think Kulusevski is performing really well, right? That's what I want to say. But and again, it goes into my point about like being bipolar, basically, right? There is people ripping Kulusevski to shit or Madison, and there is people praising them to high heavens. I'm not saying any of you guys, right? I'm saying like in general, in terms of like being part of this fan base, right? And they cannot find like a balance between like pointing out the bad things and pointing out the good things, right?
Michael,
Again, not
Michael, do you know what it
any of
is?
you, right?
Michael, do you know what it is, right? We when we did the post-match show, Alex Box Office came on and he wasn't having it with Kulusevski, and I said to him, I said to him, in this one game, just this one game in isolation, I thought Kulu was the best player for for Spurs, and he deserved his man of the match. I thought Kulu was our best player in this one game. Alex, he wasn't hearing it because he's, he doesn't. He thinks there's too much hype around Kulu to even give him one game of praise, right? The way I see Kulu is this: when he first came to us with Conte, those first 4 months, I couldn't believe we'd signed a player like this. I thought, what a fucking signing this is. For the price we've paid, this is brilliant. Yeah. Then he's had a shit show for a while. I think, and Dan and many others were saying it, move him inside. Since he's moved inside in this new role, he's beginning to show us the Kulu that first came to Spurs, which was a good player, right? I think we've got a good player at the club now, as opposed to someone that we were saying, do you know what, maybe it's time to ship him out. So I think Ange has done well to put him in the inside. And the thing is, Kulu can still cut outside sometimes, and he does. He goes and doubles up with the winger. So I think this new role for Kulu has made him the player that we signed again, which is good. So he's improved on last season, and he's back to the player that we signed. However, this is where everyone's getting carried away again. Yeah. He's got no goals and no assists because this is why he's got no goals, no assists against the top 10 teams, and the ones we've played so far are Arsenal, Newcastle, Brighton. Nothing. And this is where, okay, where are they in the league, right? If we want to use Brentford as the barometer to measure Kulu, fine.
No, top 10. You're talking about top 10. Why are we talking top 10?
I don't look at Brentford as this team to measure whether Kulu's good or not. Against Newcastle, I think it is. Against Brighton, because they've been good for a while. But anyway, okay, you can have it. Against Brentford, he did well. But in general, for Kulu to genuinely prove that he is a top midfielder, he needs to do what the other top midfielders do. You need to show it against the big boys and do it consistently. But I say the same thing about the whole team. So Kulu deserves praise because he's back to his good old self that we first signed, that we were all really excited by. He's back to that, so he deserves praise. I think he's a good player, but I think he's being way overhyped because he hasn't proven it consistently in the games that I question Ange and Angeball against. And that's how I look at Kulu.
That's something I tried to say, right? I think he's on form now, right? And if he keeps performing at this level and adds to it assists, or I'm not even talking about like goals and assists, because you can, do like dribble past 5 players, pass it to another guy, and this guy passes it to the goal scorer, and then you don't have the numbers, right? If I see good performances against top teams, like you said, right? And I appreciate Brentford. And honestly, by the way, because you guys are saying about like Man United and West Ham, right? West Ham maybe not, but I personally think Man United will still finish inside top 10, right? But at the point of playing them, they are not the top 10 side when we play them, right? But nevertheless, if he starts adding onto those performances that we are seeing now, if he keeps on performing like that, then I think we can start talking about him being a great midfielder, right? But right now, for me, he's performing really, really well, but that's form. That's not class. I mean, class is maybe too much because you get like class over performing over multiple seasons, right?
I get what you're saying, totally, 100%.
But in terms of overhyping, the press. I mean, you see it everywhere, all over mainstream media. Someone comes through, starts scoring goals, all of a sudden, is the greatest thing since sliced bread. People the press build up players, and then they go and knock them down. And this goes on all the time. At the end of the day, we can only look at players over the last few games in terms of current form. Yeah, absolutely. I listen. Let's see.
I don't agree with this.
I must tell you something. I think Villa's going to be a really interesting game Sunday week.
It's going to be
they are flying at the moment, and it's going to be interesting to see how we do at home against Villa.
They're actually a good team.
That Villa game, I'm looking forward to. I want.
To can I just respond to Leonard Tuz, right? Because this is the absolute abomination that I've lost the will to live with these fans, right? Absolute shambles, your cherry picking still. Basing a player's ability of 8 games, Kulusevski, this season, when he's turned up against the best team in the country every single season, right? So your argument is because Kulu always turns up against Man City, There we go. We're done. By that logic, don't you ever cuss Nuno, who beat Man City, Conte, who beat Man City, Jose, who beat every manager at Spurs beats Man City. Oh, there is one though that hasn't done it. Ange. Listen, it's an absolute shambles that you cherry pick which managers to back, yet they've all beaten City, but they all ended up getting fired because beating City in a one-off, we've got this voodoo over them, right? Unless Kulu turns up consistently.
We had it. We had it until we got Ange, because now we play the way they want us to play. The way we was playing is the way Man City just can't stand it. They don't like that.
To be fair, there was a bit of that voodoo still when we drew 3-3 at the ground, right? But the voodoo is going away. It's going away.
Fair point.
I don't see how I'm not allowed to judge Kulu against the top 10 so far this season, but because of previous history against Man City, which we all know is Bring It Big Boy says never learn, always become Spursy, never process. Thank you for that. And that's a funny fake picture of me. Big up. Thanks for being a channel member. I think Kulu's having a really good season for Spurs, and I hope he continues it, because when we first signed him, I thought he was really a find. I remember there was some moans at Juventus, if I'm not wrong, how they let him go, that they got something wrong, and there was a bit of a murmuring at Juventus about how the hell this player suddenly just blowing it up at Spurs. So if he can get back to that level in his new role, bring it on, because we need midfielders like that. But he's got to show it against those top teams, which he hasn't yet. And by the way, doing it against one top team means fuck all. You got to do it at least against half of them, because that's what the top midfielders do. Top midfielders boss games. They win games for you. So I think Kulu needs to show us that.
I think where his form's absolutely key for us is that he can move with the ball and hold the ball and keep the ball.
Holding the ball, keeping the ball is his strongest point.
That's right. And the biggest problem we had last year, Dan, was we took the ball up and we got dispossessed so easily, and teams were able to break on us very quickly.
You see, with Kulu, Ian, I mean, I said this a few times last season. I think in a lot of ways, he's more of a player that you notice when he's not on the pitch than when he is on the pitch at certain times. Because when he wasn't on the pitch, you noticed every game that he wasn't on that right-hand side. We get absolutely destroyed on the right-hand side. Because Johnson can't handle coming back and covering. It's just not his style of play.
Not like Kulu does.
He can't do it, period. End of. He might be able to get back and kick the ball out, but he cannot come and cover him as backup. It just isn't in his game. It's not his style. Even Werner does that better than Johnson. And we know what Porro's like. Defending is not his great bit, and then also inverting leaves us totally open. Now we're getting a lot more cooked on the left-hand side, more than anything, because Kulusevski's gone in the middle, and there's absolutely no cover for Porro now, because Johnson cannot do it. That is one part of his game he just can't do. Like I said, even Timo Werner comes back and covers Udogie better than Johnson does with Porro. And
which
now
is
he's in the middle.
Makes sense. At the back.
Oh, I've said it over a year ago.
And put Porro in front of Dragusin.
With Kulu, you do notice he holds that ball very, very well.
Yeah.
And it does take sometimes two people to get him off the ball. It's one of his strongest points. And at times, you noticed him more when he wasn't there, because we didn't have no one who could hold that ball, basically.
I mean, in terms of impact on a game, affecting a game, I'm not talking about assists, because the game is more than just assists. You know, and you had everybody raved about Moussa Dembele. He hardly scored a goal or assisted, but he was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I'd have Kulu in front of Maddison at the moment.
Yeah. By the way, that's why I said for me, especially.
But Maddison's got a better output. Maddison's got a better output.
But I personally think, right, for me, when you play in the midfield, it's not necessarily about the goals and assists only, right? For me, it's also how you play in the game, how you control the midfield, how you progress the ball and all that stuff, right? Because for me, when you are a forward player, like you are a winger or a striker, then it is about the goals and assists, because that's your most important job on the pitch, right? And I know, like, technically every player has the his job is to score when he has the opportunity to, right? But I don't think if, like, just imaginary scenario, right? We play Villa and Kulusevski absolutely bosses it, right? And just imaginary scenario. And let's say we win 3-0, but he doesn't assist. I don't think then it means that he had a shit game, right? If he was part of the team, like if he was essential to us winning the game by how he performed in the midfield, right? So for me, with when he is a midfielder, for me it's not only about the goals and assists, but I also understand he has to like have some output on the game, right? So I get it. If he finishes the season with 2 goals and 2 assists, then that means that he wasn't as good as maybe we make him out to be, right? But I don't think it's only about that when you play in the midfield. I think there is more to it, right? There is tackling, there is progressing with the ball, passing, and all that stuff, right? Because let me give you an example. In the first half, he received the pass with his back towards the goal on the edge of the box, and he did this like right foot flick to Udogie. I don't know if you remember. It's part of the highlights. Even on our channel, right, on Tottenham channel.
There was a back flick, wasn't there? It was like a
like a flick with a right foot, to the side behind him, right? And this pass landed at Udogie's feet, and then Udogie pulled it across the box. And if that was a goal, for example, right, then Kulusevski gets no numbers from it, right? But he is essential to that move, and this is part of his role as a midfielder. That's how I look at it, right?
He started it basically.
He basically started it, right? So for me in the midfield, it's not only about the goals and assists, but it's an important part.
If we're going to go deep in Europe, I think players like him are going to be important.
All our team's going to be important because when it comes to the actual bigger teams, not just the carrier bags and stuff like that, we're going to have to use the better players, not just the schoolboys that don't even get a look on the pitch.
But
with that,
Dan, according to Ben Bowman, if we go strong against Man City, we'll beat them because they're vulnerable, and Solanke and Kulusevski is going to bully them. We're going to bully them.
And this is part of the positive fan base that I was saying that also should be criticized, right? For fuck's sake, bully Man City. I'm looking forward to it, right? If we bully Man City, I'm going to apologize, right? But that's not how.
Listen,
we are not.
You don't bully Man City. There are. You can beat Man City. They're not invincible. They're not totally invincible. We need everything to go right on the day, don't we? I mean, otherwise, what's the point in turning up? If you're just going to go out there thinking, "Oh, well, we're going to get beaten," there's no point in turning up.
Solanke and Kulu are going to bully them. They're going to bully them.
Well,
actually, there was one game last season where I think Man City got bullied. And I wonder if you know which it is. And I'm not talking about our game, by the way.
It was Nuno. We bullied Man City in Nuno's first game. I was at that game.
No. I'm talking last season.
Well, the year before was Kane's finest game for Spurs, wasn't it?
No, not our game. I'm saying in general that there was one game last season where Man City got bullied, and it was Aston Villa away. I don't know if you remember in December. They got fucking pumped that game, and it only finished 1-0, but City had 4 shots and exactly Sapa. One game last season where they got bullied, and this was done by Aston Villa and Emery.
Was it Villa when Villa beat them 1-0?
Yeah.
Was it 1-0?
The scoreline didn't reflect how the game went. They had 4 shots. They had 40% possession rate. Passing accuracy was shit. Villa absolutely destroyed them that day. But this is the last game I remember where Man City actually got bullied. Because ever since that game, they are on.
I can't remember what the score was.
I want to bring up one last point. It's been 3 hours. I need to wrap it up. Dan, you can go first on this one. We never got a chance to speak about it the other day, but I do want to quickly talk about it. Jed Spence signing a new contract, keeping him here to 2028. What do you make of that? That's a bit of a weird one.
Well, I wonder why Jed Spence done it. First thing, I wouldn't have if I was him. Not the way the club has treated him as such. He's
1-0.
Is he third pick on the side, or has Archie Gray now just lost his place and gone down another place in a position because Jed Spencer's now covered it and also covers the left as well? So does that bring Archie Gray back another level as well? This is what I'm asking with Jed Spence. And
Well, it looks like Spence and Gray are the backups, doesn't it, Dan, at the moment?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he was third choice when we did have him for a few months, even over Royale. But now all of a sudden he's looked okay when he's played on the left and on the right. He actually looked pretty good on the left. So does that now knock him totally out the side to make Spence our cover for both sides? And
Dan,
the one that it does make me... And the one that,
Real Madrid.
and I am worried about Porro leaving. Do I think he's good enough for Real Madrid? No. Do I think he's good enough for City? No. Do I think if they change his style, like where he plays and put him up forward a bit, who knows? But I think he's definitely good enough to play in a majority of teams. So has Spence just been bought as our next out-and-out right-back? Or is he a cover for left-back and right-back? And then where does that leave your boy? I wouldn't have signed it if I was him.
I'm not his agent.
But to me, when you look at it, that's who he's there to cover. But we've just gone and signed Jed Spence then, who covers both sides as well. So I'm a bit lost with it sort of thing.
Can I say something on that and tell me what you think?
Go on.
You say that he's covered for Porro, but when Udogie got injured, Spence went left back, and against, I believe, Coventry in the Carabao Cup, when Spence came on, he went left wing back.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said he's covering left and right, basically.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that bit. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I said when I see him play on the left, he was actually pretty good as well. And we brought the other one on, and I don't want to start a bloody debate on that, but we brought him on as left back and right back. But if we've just gone and bought Spence now, is he going to be Udogie's number 2 and Porro's number 2? And then that's knocked Archie Gray back another bloody level because he won't get a look on the bloody wing backs either. Then but the way Spurs have treated him, I'm surprised he signed a contract. If I was him, I'd just be like, get me out of there, basically.
So mate,
I
was amazed he left him out at Coventry.
Yeah, I just think it's a bit of a strange one. It is a weird one. But when he has played, he has looked all right, hasn't he? He's looked capable, but nothing more than a squad player.
I personally was baffled when I saw the Jed Spence news. I'm not even saying like from our club's perspective that we gave him the contract. I was baffled that he signed it himself.
Yeah,
like that just looks strange to me. Like unless he is actually happy and backs himself to be a big part of the team, which if he does, then prove me wrong, mate, but I don't think he will be a big part of this team. If he does, big up to him. But yeah, I was really surprised. Again, more surprised with him making the decision rather than us signing him. I don't know what was his contract situation before he signed it. Was it running out at the end of the season or something? I don't think it was.
Right. I still think we had 2 years on him because I think we bought him on a 4-year or 5-year, if I remember right. So it's a strange one, isn't it? It's a bit of a weird one. When I saw that, I was a bit like,
so maybe then, Dan, if
about?
we're going to sell him, the longer his contract, the more the value in selling the player.
Yeah, but if he doesn't perform, that he's still worthless. Not worthless, but I mean, we won't get much money whether he has 4 years on his contract or 1, right?
Yeah.
But the base figure you sell him for starts higher if he's got 4 years on his contract, because you basically got to pay that contract.
But then nobody will pay.
If he plays absolutely, but if he plays absolutely crap, it doesn't matter whether you got 10 or 20 years on there. You still ain't getting bought for 10 million.
Well, we did get 20 million for Harry Winks. And by the way, can I say, I don't know if anyone's been watching Leicester this season. Harry Winks is doing well, He came on the other day.
Both him and Skip aren't that bad, by the way, playing for Leicester.
Skippy's being the usual Skip. He's working his socks off there, and they love it at Leicester because he's giving his all right. But Winks is playing all right. He's a bit further up, like I said. I'm not saying he's great or we should bring him back, but he's doing well there. He's pushing them along, So
Winks was our best player in Madrid that day. People forget that.
English Iniesta.
Unfortunately,
is that when Crouch got set up?
It was
the Crouch
a wrong result. Listen,
No.
the referee rate that in 20 seconds, didn't he?
They didn't.
Typical Spurs right.
When did Crouch
Sent off,
leave
remember.
Spurs?
Yeah, Crouch was sent off. Listen, chaps, we're going to wrap it up. It's been a 3-hour and 10-minute show. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, how do we do it? Down below is the link to Hotspur Hood. Make sure you go and follow Dan. It's been on there. Big up to all these super chats. A user Ian. Sorry I didn't read them out on time, guys. A user with a couple. Ian as well. We had one from Soul Boy. Big up to you. The Bertie Hotspur. Tommy, my favourite friend Faz, and Bring It Big Boy channel member. Big up to you guys. Chaps, thanks for being on the show tonight. We do have, I think Mari might be doing a show this week, but our next show otherwise will be on Thursday, the post-match show after the Spurs versus AZ Alkmaar game. As always, we'll be going live later on discussing that and talking about it. I think there's going to be a lot of talking points in that for 2 reasons. One, the kids are going to get to play. They've got to, surely they get to play in that one. And 2, AZ Alkmaar, 3rd in the Dutch league. This could be a little bit of a, well, in fact, this should be more of a challenge for our B team. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that game. Dan, when you next on, are you back now? Are you better? You on the road to recovery?
Yeah, mate.
For a while.
Back on my feet again. Probably be doing a show tomorrow night with Dave because he wants to come and do a show and just basically assess the last one and then the next one that's coming up. So I'll probably be doing a show with him 8:00 tomorrow, something like that.
Check out Dan's channel, Hotspur Hood. Ian, Lee, Michael, big up to you guys. Iggy, and who else came on? Mari, Maz was here, I think, as well. JP.
Can also say still, Thursday night, Troy Parrott's back at the Lane.
Yeah,
should be interesting.
Oh, really? Adrian Soccer's going to have a jizz fest. I mean, fuck me.
Mate, he's going to leave his fridge open and everything. He'll be beeping all night.
I'll tell you what, that's set up for Troy Parrott to sting us, isn't it?
Yes,
he's
written in the stars, isn't it?
I'm watching him, right? If he has Spurs at his heart, he drops a stinker on Thursday.
How's he doing at the moment in Eredivisie?
Doing well.
Let's have a quick check. Let's have a quick look because he did all right last season. Troy Parrott this season.
5 goals.
Really?
Yeah. 9 games, 5 goals, and 1 goal in Europa League. So 6 goals.
So he's outperforming Son and Solanke. Interesting.
Is he really? Well, they went with Lancashire, didn't they? They fancied him in front of Parrott. Ange and his team.
There's one player who we've got, one of the youngsters who's on loan at the moment, is doing really, really well. Is it Donnelly?
Kulusevski.
Donnelly's doing very well at Orient. Orient are doing badly, but Donnelly personally, I've got a friend of mine who goes home and away. He said Donnelly's really playing well. He's their best player in most matches.
Vuskovic is doing really well, by the way.
Donnelly. Abbott's doing well, I think, at Notts County. He's playing very well.
What about what's his name? Ashley Phillips. Any news on him?
Can't get in. Not getting any football.
So it's a pointless loan then. And Dane Scarlett's, is he doing anything?
He scored yesterday or like 2 days ago.
Last minute goal, wasn't it, against West Brom?
When they do some of the loans, if I remember right, don't they usually loan the player out and make a deal with them? I expect him to see a majority of football or be in at least a certain amount of games or see a certain amount of time. That's usually part of the contract that they put over to the other club, isn't it?
Well, I think with Phillips, he's unlucky because Stoke have changed managers.
Yeah, but even if they've changed managers, that wouldn't matter. If it was on his contract to go on loan that I expect him to play, say, at least 50% of the games, then it doesn't matter who manages there.
Can you get that in a contract, though, Dan?
Yeah, on loan you can.
That depends if it's a clause in the contract, right? Maybe they didn't include one in Phillips.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking, basically.
Yeah, because for example, the Alejo Veliz, we loaned him to Espanyol, right? And he's playing every single game pretty much. Because sometimes I'm not watching the games. I don't know how he's
doing nothing, by the way. Liz is doing absolutely nothing over there.
Yeah, okay. As I said, I'm not watching the games, but I know that he is getting minutes, right? So maybe like he has a clause and Phillips doesn't. I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe just Stoke didn't want to agree to a loan with a clause. Like I don't know how contracting works.
No, what you can do, no one's going to agree to saying that you've got to play a certain number of games. But what you can do is you can change the structure of the deal so that if they play 50% of games, then the loan is slightly less. If they play only 25%, then the loan costs a bit more. So they're almost penalised for not playing the player enough. You can do things like that. Clubs will agree to things like that, but
if they got any sense, they'll bring Phillips back in January, and
I don't know why we let him go.
I swear.
I mean,
I don't know why we let him go either.
Ben Davies over Phillips is fucking mad.
I know it's crazy, isn't it?
It's not even if Davies is over Phillips. It's just like sheer amount of numbers that we have in centre backs, right? We have 4 centre backs at the club. We have Davies, Dragusin, Van de Ven, and Romero. It's like one of them is injury like prone, I guess, Van de Ven, right?
But Davies
Romero
isn't actually a centre back though, Michael. He's not actually a centre back.
I mean, we treat him as a centre back, right? I don't. Yeah.
But Phillips actually is a centre back. That's the point.
Yeah.
Keep the centre back and the fact that Werner comes on ahead of Mikey Moore and Bergvall, it sums it all fucking up.
Like I don't understand why on the weekend Moore didn't get a chance and other youngsters like I don't know, maybe like it's stupid, right? Because I could understand if you were like 2-1 up or something, right? And it was like even though the game wasn't like same game went the same way, but it was 2-1, and I understand if he was scared about the scoreline, right? But 4-1, like a man sent off, it's like West Ham weren't doing shit in that game, so I don't understand why guys like Gray and more.
Michael,
this is part of the criticism. I agree with you still, right? Because I've seen you doing this, and I know what comes next, right? So, and I've been consistent with it. So,
Ange didn't play kids at Celtic either.
I honestly, I haven't watched a single game of Ange at Celtic. I'm gonna be honest.
So he signs Ange, Bergvall, Yang, and Odegaard. What a fucking manager. Listen, we're going to wrap it up there, guys. Thank you for watching tonight. If anyone took it personal in the comments, don't. I don't take it personal, even if I lose my mind. Thanks for watching, as always. Boys, thanks for being on the show tonight.
Thank you.
Cheers.
We'll see you next time, probably Thursday. Make sure you follow Dan. Make sure you follow the Hotspur Hood. And we're out of here. Come on, the Spurs.
The first game we look for, Robbie.